right. Good morning. Well, all right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Script-a-palooza 2021. This is the fourth year we've done this event with my co-host, Todd Bookspan. This event is sponsored by Mortgage Coach and Win by Noon. What's up, Todd?
Hey, not much. I still can't believe I look back on that summer I was in Portland and we did it live standing next to each other. It was super awkward, but we had a blast and the people loved it. So we are here back again and excited to share really the nation's best mortgage loan officer scripting with all of you. We're super grateful for you being here, and we're super grateful for all of our teachers and speakers today, because I know they're going to wow you guys with what they've got.
Guys, so this is not going to be a 1 hour event. We're going Joe Rogan podcast style, 3 hours. People watch Jocko Willink for 2 hours. I do, or I listen to him. Joe Rogan. So this is not going to be a quick call, but it will be awesome. And we will be bringing up top producers that have all done over $100 million, and they're going to be sharing some of their best scripts. So if you are a speaker and you have a panelist, please control your mute. Also, if you don't need to be on video, you don't need to have the video on. For anybody who's a panelist and a speaker, it does look like we have Wally Elderberry who's going up next. But for our first Script-a-palooza guest, we have Amber Kovark coming to you live out of Chandler, Arizona. Last year, she closed 426 loans, serving 426 families for $128 million in production. Amber is going to bring a couple awesome scripts. Before I bring her on stage, I do want to tell everyone that I gave every speaker, like, what script do you want to do? What are you passionate about? And what do you think will be valuable to everyone? So Amber, welcome to the stage.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. I have a feeling the two scripts you're going to do are going to be amazing. So I think in just about every market in America, it's low inventory. And so I think every loan officer would love to hear some scripting around how do top producers like yourself position themselves and add value in this low inventory market. So let's rock it out with your script.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, this is a crazy time. I've been in mortgage for 17 years, and this is one of the most challenging markets that I've been in because the inventory is so extremely low. And I've been a mortgage coach member for over a decade, and I do a total cost analysis for every single client. And we do consultations now all over Zoom, which was one of the blessings of COVID, was learning how much more efficient we can be by doing all of our consultations virtually, being able to pull up Mortgage Coach and go through that with them. And so we've been consulting them for 10 years, but now our consultations are a little bit different because we are trying to be an extension of our realtor to help them be educated on the market and make sure that they're hearing from someone other than the realtor about how competitive it is and about going in over list price and potentially over appraised value to win a property. And we're talking about maybe not asking for as much in repairs and shortening inspection periods and all of these things, because we're really in it. Like, I'm like, hey client, we're in it with you. As long as you're in it, we're going to do everything that we can to help you win your offer. We're going to call the listing agent. We're going to send them a video. You're going to have our name on the pre-approval letter. We're going to make sure to answer all of their phone calls and questions and make sure they feel confident that you're as good as cash. And not all lenders are doing this, which baffles me. I talked to a client last night who had a quote from another lender that they spoke with, and they literally got the loan estimate and the pre-approval letter to their realtor and like, okay, good luck. And so that client is not educated. They don't know how to win in this market, and they're not doing any service or value to that realtor partner and helping them. So we really see us as an extension. We're a team in this market. And so we're really gearing our consultations around, client, how are we going to make you a winning buyer? And we're talking about, can you buy before you sell? Do we look at a recast, bridge loan, home equity lines, all of these creative options? And one of my favorite things, I have to give credit where credit is due, was introduced to me by my very good friend, Jess Uphoff, who's also part of the community. And we call it our appraisal gap strategy. And so I'm talking to clients who qualify, which is really anyone that's conventional with 10% down or more, decent credit, about what it would look like if they went under contract on a home and the appraisal came in lower than their contract price. How does that affect you financially? Because you think, like, if a client's putting down 20%, the appraisal comes in low, they're going to have to come in with 80% of that difference, which not everybody can do or want to do. It affects their financial picture. But we have a strategy where we can educate them. So when I'm doing the mortgage coach analysis with them, I'm showing them, okay, here's your, I just did this for a client last night. Here's your scenario on a $340,000 sales price. That's the offer that they made the previous day.
Right. And
they were putting down 20%. 20% is ideal because the mortgage insurance cost is the lowest. The home was listed at $325,000. So the next option I show them is, what happens, client, if the home goes under contract at $340,000 and it appraises at $325,000? Instead of coming in with that difference of $20,000, what if we keep your loan amount exactly the same? We keep your monthly payment exactly the same, but now due to the low appraisal, you are at an 84% loan to value instead of an 80% loan to value. And so I show them that now that we're using the lower of the two, the appraised value, and your loan to value has gone up, you're now in a mortgage insurance category. But this client last night, that mortgage insurance cost them $1,985.
Wonder if those are his ones.
I made up that gap for them, that $15,000 appraisal gap, with a $1,985 single premium mortgage insurance policy.
All right, thank you.
And so we're doing this proactively in our consultations to guide our clients to say, okay, client, so now that you know that you could go in $15,000 over list price and it's only going to cost you $1,900, how much more aggressive can you be in your offers? Because what really matters is your monthly payment and your cash to close. And we're keeping both of those numbers where you want them to be, but we're also preparing you to win. The deal right now in this market is winning the house. And so we're going to do everything we can to prepare you for that. And the clients are like mind blown. And I don't really know how I could show them this option in a way that they could understand without using Mortgage Coach, because I can show them side by side, okay, see how the payment and the loan amount are the same. And then when I go into the closing cost tab, I can show them that single premium mortgage insurance policy that we put on there, which is the reason for the slight increase in cash to close. And so this client last night, I said, hey, if this house isn't the one that wins, you know, in this scenario, client, you could really go $20,000 over appraised value, and it's only going to cost you that under $2,000 in single premium mortgage insurance. And so they're that much more excited. They're that much more ready to get in the car and make an aggressive offer. And our realtor partners eat this up, because these are not the conversations that they want to be having with the client. They're not educated in it. They don't know the client's finances. They're wondering, like, how much higher can this client really go over appraised value? We don't want to put them in a financial situation that's going to negatively impact them. So then I can call the realtor after my consultation and let them know, hey, we talked about this scenario. They could really go in $20,000 over appraised value. It's only going to cost them, you know, under $2,000 out of pocket. We're meeting their cash to close goals with this. And they're so much more excited to go out there and try to help this client win an offer. So we're having a ton of success right now in this market. A lot of our competition, they don't understand it. The realtors try to talk to them about it. They don't get it. And so it's something that we're using to our advantage. And I'm so happy to be able to share it with the mortgage coach community today.
Well, I love the strategy, and you have clearly turned transparency and clarity into a competitive advantage. I was just looking at the back end, Amber, you probably know this, but you've created 2,694 total cost analysis, 39 of them in the past 30 days. So you're clearly getting after it out there in the marketplace. So guys, I did ask Amber for a sample of her total cost analysis. Amber, if you could forward that over to me so you can see how she is helping with that appraisal gap problem. Amber will also be sharing this strategy at the Modern Real Estate Summit, which we're going to be doing next month on the 21st. Win by Noon is going to be putting on another event, similar to the Modern Mortgage Summit, only it's all going to be realtors. So you're going to have 4 amazing keynotes from realtors and a bunch of how-tos, and Amber and a few other mortgage coach grandmasters are going to create some amazing content on how to tell these stories to realtors. I think the one you're going to do at the Modern Real Estate Summit is going to be on the move up analysis. Is that right, Amber?
Yep.
Good. Well, Todd, any questions for Amber before we bring on our next rock star professional?
Well, first off, I'm super excited that you're going to be part of the Modern Real Estate Summit. We'll talk more about that a little bit later, but what a great idea. I love the fact that you call it the appraisal gap strategy, right? When you name something, you own it. And so I think that you just crushed it there. Are you getting any pushback at all from clients about that paying that amount over the appraised value, or how are you overcoming that?
You know, some clients are nervous about it. Arizona, right? We got crushed in 2008. So everyone still has some PTSD from that. But I just explained to them like the future of our market right now. I mean, we're going up like 2 to 3% per month in our market. So even clients that don't have urgency, they're like, oh, well, we could move out whenever, you know, we're staying with family, whatever it is. I'm like, well, let me tell you why you want urgency. The market's going up 2 to 3%. So if you wait 6 months and the home price is, you know, 15, 18% higher than it is right now, what does that look like to you? And so we're helping create urgency around that. And I'm focusing on the payment and the cash to close, not so much the sales price, but those two numbers, because that's what really impacts their financial picture.
So guys, just to thank you for everybody in chat. Eric says, that is awesome. Thanks for explaining. Tony says, that was insane. Catherine wants to know the dates for the Modern Real Estate Summit. It'll be the 21st of next month. And you go to the website, modernrealestatesummit.com. Nate says that appraisal gap strategy is awesome. I love to see how Amber plays this out in real life. Would she be willing to share a video of one of those pitches? So yeah, first of all, she's going to talk about that also at the Modern Real Estate Summit. And I'll be interviewing her on that more. So anyways, Amber, you crushed it. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you for
leading.
having me. It's such an honor. I'm such a fan of this community. It's a pleasure to be here. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to let me know.
Right on. Thank you so much, Amber. Feel free to stay on if you could control your mute. Someone asked, are we going to write this down? So we will transcribe this. So this will all be in our YouTube channel, hopefully by the end of the day. It's going to be a pretty long video, so it might take a bit to upload. And once we get the transcription, if you're watching this in YouTube, the recording, there'll be a description down below. We'll put a link to the transcription of this. We'll also put a link to the total cost analysis that are mentioned throughout and any other resources. So Wally Elderberry, jump on the Script-a-palooza stage. How you doing, brother?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. I can't wait to hear how you do this. For those that don't know Wally, his team and him closed 514 loans last year and did 153 million in volume. His team has almost done 5,000 total cost analysis and 90 over the past 30 days. So they're definitely leaders in the mortgage coach community. So Wally, I know you've mastered the realtor business. So you've got a whole process in way. You know, you're always improving, but you've got a good realtor pillar. You've significantly upgraded the pillar of business of past customers to where you're getting a great retention rate. And now you have added the pillar of CPAs, financial planners, and what you call wealth advisors. And I think something that you do that people would love to learn from is how do you have the conversation with these planners and these advisors so they'll give you the database so that you can help manage the mortgages and help these families build wealth with real estate. So what's that sound like, my friend?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you again for having me on. Hopefully you appreciate me dressing up for the event.
We love it.
Sorry about the link. But all right. So the biggest thing, first of all, probably about 3 years ago, I started doing annual mortgage views. So I'm a big fan of studying the past so you can predict the future. So if we study the past, about 3 years ago, I started focusing on annual mortgage views. And what I learned from that, there's a ton of clients on there that were doing an annual mortgage view that needed help for a referral to a wealth team member. And that's when you and I connected. We went deep in it. And it's pretty neat. To 2019, we referred out $250,000 worth of commissions to our referral partners. 2020, we broke over $500,000 worth of commissions that we're able to refer out. So the focus around that is we built a 3-person department. We call them the client concierge team on our team. So they do a 7-day call, a 30-day call, a 6-month call, and set up the annual mortgage review. On those calls, they're planting the seeds as we water. So in the client concierge team, as they're planting seeds, they're talking about, okay, great. So you close on your house. Tell me who your CPA is so we can get them over your closing disclosure. Great. You've closed on the house. Who's your wealth advisor so we can get them over the closing disclosure and your total cost analysis. So right up front, we're finding out who the players are for each client. Oh, you've got a great one? Well, awesome. We refer our clients on a daily and weekly basis, the wealth team members. Who is it? And will you make an introduction to us? So on the 7-day call, 30-day call, 6-month call, we're getting referrals from our clients to wealth team members. That is a CPA, financial advisor, family will attorney, and an insurance person, if we don't know them already. And or we're finding out where the gaps are. So the gaps would be, I use TurboTax, or I just do my own taxes online. It's not a big deal. Or I use Robinhood and I invest. So a lot of times we talk about, great, so we helped you build your mortgage. We've helped you walk you through on the sake of building a great defense for your wealth. Who's helping you play offense for your wealth? And that's one of my favorite things to ask because, it's a very difficult question to answer. Us as lenders do a great job of saving clients' interest, right? Well, who's helping grow their wealth? And if you use that in a sentence, it's a stopper, right? So it stops you from being able to the other person of, well, I've got a financial advisor. I don't need that. And you want to structure these questions through a conversation. And my concierge team knows these questions part of their scripts. So I've done a great job helping you build play defense. Who's going to help you score in the wealth game? That comment and that question helps them stop in their tracks. And it opens up, well, what do you mean? Is like the next thing we hear. What do you mean? What does that mean? So what's great about that, it would say, great. So what I want to do is I want to introduce wealth advisors, one of our teammates, and you just make the introduction. So right off the bat, when I get referred a wealth advisor, from there, we turn around and we start sending them referrals. Candidly, most times we get that before we even get on the call with them. Doing that strategy of giving referrals up front before we even get on the phone call with the wealth advisor, like who's this person sending me referrals? Who's this person that's teeing me up? So when we jump on a call with a wealth advisor, it's a really easy conversation because they've already had a great appetizer and I'm just coming in with the main meal course. So when we're giving them these referrals, ask them, one of my favorite questions is, so are you happy with your client retention rate or could it be better? To a wealth advisor. What wealth advisor is not going to say, I want my client retention rate higher and I want more of their assets, or I want more of their returns or more of their businesses, or I want more of their coverage. Every wealth advisor that you want to do business with wants more. Okay. So the next thing I ask is very simply, so tell me, how are you improving your retention rate with your clients or getting more from them on a daily, weekly, monthly basis? Well, I'll call. Great. Have you ever struggled for a reason to call? Then from there, it's really easy conversation of, hey, you can tell your clients how great you are, but if I jump on the phone with a client and tell them how great you are, that is reinforcing you 10x of what you could reinforce yourself. So then we bring up HomeBot and we bring up Mortgage Coach. Those two major technologies have helped our business almost double in the last 3 years, which is absolutely crazy. What's great about that, and actually first real quick, Dave, any questions so far? Or do you want me to go deeper or keep going?
First of all, you're killing it. I want to remind everybody this will be live in the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel, and the transcription, when we get it, which might be a day, will be below the video on YouTube. No, you're killing it. I mean, it is, the Mortgage Coach channel. So I think the more they understand how Mortgage Coach helps you do that, the better. But I think you're killing it, and you got a couple more minutes. Perfect.
All right. So as we're referring to these wealth advisors, the biggest question I get asked is, Wally, how'd you go in 2019 with a 2,000 person database list to over an 11,000 person database list in 2021? 2,000 to 11,000 in just 24 months. The biggest thing we talk about is the referral partner's retention rate. And with the retention rate is their focus. That's their equity. Us as loan officers, yes, we kind of own a business, but we work for a company, or at least most of us do. If you increase the CPA's retention rate, his business or her business has a multiplier. Now you just increase their net worth. You increase a financial advisor's retention rate, you just increase their net worth. I focus on retention rate, and I focus on how do they add value to their clients and allow me to be the vehicle that adds value to them. So I say, here's the simple thing. Instead of I'm going to stop telling you what I can do, and I'm going to show you. Email me over a copy of your mortgage statement, and I'll go through the process with specifically you, Mr. or Mrs. Wealth Advisor. They email me over a mortgage statement. What do? I make a TCA, or my team makes a TCA. And then from there, my team sets up the home buy. So I make my song and dance video on it, send it out to them. We set up a call. There's never been one wealth advisor that has either not been super impressed by a TCA and home buy. And number two, it's a really easy yes when you ask, would you like this free complimentary service to your clients, to your database through me? And while I'm on the phone with the client, I'm going to reinforce you, find out where else they have assets, and also try to get you referrals from there. It's been super easy to get databases from wealth advisors. And again, 2019, 2,000 clients in our database, HomeBot and Mortgage Coach, and also Jingo, to 11,000 families served. So that mindset is helping us receive so many referrals that we're referring out to our wealth advisors and our real estate partners. And the reason that Dave has mentioned that is we really focus on, there's no lipstick on a pig. We refer business quite a bit to our referral partners.
So Wally, that strategy that you just laid out and you clearly presented ROI'd the whole 3 hours of this event. For anyone that was paying attention, the big takeaway there is he's connecting with the wealth advisors, and then he's showing them the value. He's showing them a total cost analysis. He's showing them the power of HomeBot, and then he is recruiting their databases, uploading it into HomeBot, and putting it into his systems and processes. So there's a lot of questions on this, guys. I am going to be interviewing Wally one of these Tuesdays over the next couple of months, and I'll make sure all the questions that you asked are covered. I've also interviewed Wally a number of times, so some of these questions might be answered in some of the past interviews. Todd, any questions for Wally or anything you want to say before we bring Denise on stage?
Let me just throw it out. Anyone who's not familiar with HomeBot, just go check it out at homebot.ai for artificial intelligence /win by noon. And there you'll see the code WBN lender will save you $200 to sign up. Totally worth it. Hey, Wally, how do you overcome the pushback from a financial advisor when you say you're going to start marketing to their clients?
Yeah, so what's super cool about that. So I do a lot of business with one of the wealth advisors here locally in Dallas, and it was the same hurdle. They said, well, it's my information. I'm going to lose my job if I share this information with you. Okay, great. I want you, Mr. Wealth Advisor, to send this email that I put together a template for him to your database, asking them to opt in. So when their database opts into HomeBot, we get access right then and there. It is their compliance department's already approved it. They don't hand me an Excel spreadsheet with their database. I don't go market to that database. I send an email to their database opts in, which allows me to do annual mortgage reviews of their clients.
That is so good. I think that's really the big challenge, right? Is that oftentimes loan officers are scared to ask because they're worried about how do they overcome that pushback. I think one of the things to point out about both Amber and Wally is they use words really specifically, right? So all of you thinking about that when you're going to learn a script, I would just say, since we're going to transcribe this and put it up so it'll be available, is to first memorize the script. And then you can customize it to you, change the words so that you're comfortable with it, and then you'll internalize it so that you can just say it over and over. What you'll find with people like all these speakers is they say the same thing 98% of the time, every time, not 100% exact, but once you say it enough, you will absolutely crush that. And so I think that's really the key. Any other challenges you've run into getting team members to do it and call up with your clients? I mean, what's their initial call when they're telling someone, hey, Wally asked me to give you a call? What does that script look like?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, we come out with, hey, thank you so much for allowing us to help you. Cody Hardridge taught me 3-4 small words that are my favorite things ever. The next step is, and they say when we after you close, the next step is setting up our 7-day call. The next step is setting up our 30-day call. So when you walk through a client and we walk them through that process up front at time of loan application and say, hey, we're different from other mortgage loan officers. Yes, we're going to do a great job closing your loan. However, here are the 4 separate touch points over the next 12 months that we're going to add value to. And then we do that for the sake of their relationship. Our credibility goes through the roof and also allows them to see, hey, the next step, and they just follow that path that we lay out.
So guys, we've got to keep going. We've got a total of 13 speakers today. Wally, someone did ask, can we get a copy of your email, a template that you send to financial advisors to have their database opt-in? Is that something you'd be willing to forward me?
Absolutely not. No chance whatsoever. Just kidding. Yeah, I'll get that to you. Just again, I'm at the lake for a couple weeks, so give me some time and I'll get it back out to you from there. Well,
and first of all, we'll take it whenever you get it, but if you could text a team member, I could actually show it at some point in the next 2 hours. But if we get it in a few days, we'll get it. Keep an eye in the Mortgage Coach Facebook group. We'll either have that in a couple days or maybe we'll get it in a couple hours. Wally, thank you so much for being a leader in the Mortgage Coach community. You are truly a role model to other loan officers who want to be modern. You're a great leader, you're a great coach, and then you're using the technologies that power today's consumer experience. Thank you very much, brother.
You bet, guys. All right. See you guys soon.
All right. Bye. So now it is time to bring on the one, the only, the mortgage nerd, Denise Donahue. Welcome to Script-a-palooza, Denise.
Hey guys, how are you?
Hey, it's great to see you. So guys, Denise Donahue and her team did 650 loans last year. That means they served over 600 families. They did 194 million. You almost broke the 200 million mark, Denise.
Almost,
but hey, take what you have. So I know you've got some amazing scripts. What script do you want to share with us today?
You know, when we were talking about this, I think so many times I talk about social media and building a brand on social media, and because I'm known as the mortgage nerd. But today I wanted to switch it up a little bit, because what I've been getting asked a ton from clients and from real estate agents is now still the time to buy a home? I know in many markets we're experiencing shortage of inventory and high demand. And so I think our real estate agents really struggle with how to answer that. And so I'm coming at this from an approach of more of how do I teach real estate agents how to rebuttal that? And then when we get that question asked directly from a client, how we answer that. So that's what I'm going to go over today. And then I'll parlay it a little bit with how I sell that on social media, because how can I do this with you, Dave, and not talk about social media? So essentially, what I love to use is I use bridge builders to capture a lot of my data. And, you know, they don't necessarily hone in on your specific marketplace, but they give you great statistics nationwide. And I think in a market that we're in right now, and especially with social media and all the white noise we hear, there's a lot of fake news and there's a lot of white noise and just not a lot of substance behind really what any real estate professional is talking about. And so I love posting statistics. I love talking about statistics, because kind of like what Wally was saying, if you study patterns of what happened prior to, then it helps us forecast. And so one of the things I love to do is get the bridge builder statistics that come out every month. So just recently I posted this actually as a Instagram reel on my Instagram just this morning. And what I do is I use it with a mortgage coach presentation of buying now versus waiting 1 year to buy. Because again, emotions are one thing, but presenting facts and numbers to a client or agent just really makes people understand what the true cost is of waiting. And so what I'm showcasing is, okay, based on these 7 entities, they're predicting that homes are going to continue to appreciate by 5%. That's really low in the DFW area, but nonetheless, they're appreciating by 5%. The statistics are actually 3.8%. And so even in the housing crash bubble, I loved earlier when she said people still have PTSD from the housing bubble. That terminology, like what Todd was saying, the scripting of what they use is so powerful. But I do bring up the housing bubble in DFW that we didn't see a depreciation in home values. Now, appreciation rates might have slowed down, but it's not like a stock price where today the price is $100 and it could tank down to $50 price per share. And so if homes are increasing in value and interest rates are expected to increase, then essentially every day that you wait is costing you money. And so when you put that on a mortgage coach presentation of a house today, the one I did this morning was a $450,000 home at a 2.75% interest rate, gave them a principal and interest payment of like $1,475. Okay, we fast forward a year, we assume 5% appreciation. That means that same home now is going to cost you $472,000. The interest rate is going to likely be around 3.2 or 3.3%, which means your monthly payment just went up $200 a month. So it's like if you've got that client on the phone that doesn't like a home at $450,000 today, maybe it doesn't have the countertops that they like, or it doesn't have, you know, the white cabinets that they want. You're not going to like that house a year from now, because that house is now going to be $200 more a month. And so those statistics, and then of course looking at the short-term analysis and the 15-year interest analysis on the mortgage coach, showing them what that means in a 10-year rate of return or 15 rate of return, those are those numbers that are so impactful to clients to extract the pain of waiting. And I don't mean the emotional pain. You hear people go online and they'll say, well, don't wait, now's the time to buy, inventory's low. But that's not resonating with a client. You've got to pair that with actual data and then associate it with, if you did wait, is $200 a month going to be a meaningful change to you to buy next year? And you use those tie down questions, because once they see the numbers, that exposes a lot of the pain. And again, real estate agents eat this stuff up because they don't speak in statistics, they don't speak in numbers. And so what I like to do is post this stuff on social, and then I've got a private Facebook group for my agents that I know. We've talked about Dave, and I say to them, hey, you should record this exact same video. I'll give you the screenshots and the data, because I'm equipping them with data to empower their brand, which is part of my value proposition, or just share mine from my social media page. But that private Facebook group and equipping them with those mortgage coach analysis to allow them and teach them to elevate their brand. I mean, there are no agents out there doing that. And it just separates the realtors that are just taking pictures at the closing table and showing their flashy cars, or it's like, let me help you. It's like what Wally says, let me help you build wealth. Who's helping you win in your finances proactively? So that's how I answer that question, and that's how I sell it on social media.
Well, you kill it. If you wouldn't mind sharing an example of a total cost analysis that powers the script that you just shared. Guys, whenever there's a total cost analysis that's powering a script, like Amber earlier, like what Denise just shared, we'll make sure that is down below. So if you're watching this in YouTube, I mentioned before, there'll be a link to the transcription down below. And we will also get a TCA from you, Denise. And then Denise has also been invited to be one of the speakers and presenters at the Modern Real Estate Summit. So she's hopefully going to be putting together a 5-minute how to help realtors get more first-time home buyers in the market. So Todd, anything you want to ask Denise before we bring on our next guest?
Hey, Denise, can you real quick, I know the answer, but can you tell the group about bridge builders? A couple of people are asking how to find them.
Yes, so Bridge Builders I actually found from a Todd Duncan event, and I believe you can just go to bridgebuilders.com, and what they do is every single month they give you all kinds of data. They give you a PowerPoint presentation that you can customize, put your own logo on it, and then they actually go through the presentation themselves. So if you don't really know what to say, or you might not know how to understand or read some of the slides, you can basically listen to how he presents it, and then take the PowerPoint and do it yourself. And I don't typically do the whole presentation because no one would tune in for that long, but I use it all the time for my realtors and private Facebook group. Is I get data from there, and then I know you guys know, but I have a marketing team that puts it together all nice and sexy for social media, and it just pairs really well with the messaging of numbers and statistics and building wealth.
That's
So
awesome. That's
also,
Steve
guys,
Barney from Keeping Current Matters. So if you have trouble finding it, he's a great friend of this community.
yeah, we're big fans of Keeping Current Matters. They also have a free blog, Keeping Current Matters blog. Also, Denise shared this strategy in her keynote at the Modern Mortgage Summit. There is a 1-year pass available to that. Just go to modernmortgagesummit.com. We'll share more on that later, but literally in 12 minutes, she netted it out. She showed a TCA, and she gave you a scroll-stopping piece of social media. So Denise, thank you so much for bringing your awesomeness to the stage, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on stage again next month at the Modern Real Estate Summit. Take care. So guys, we're on fire. I mean, just Todd, I mean, like, our community is killing it. Any quick comments before we bring on our next guest?
I'm just so grateful for all the presenters, as I said earlier. I just think the big thing is you're here now, you're investing time in watching this, whether you're watching it live or on video. And the question is, what are you going to do with it, right? I mean, for me, I always put on my coach's hat and really just try to shift gears and tell you, you got to start using these strategies. And you can't use them all, right? Pick your top 1 or 2 to work on this week, and then pick 1 or 2 to work on next week. That's the real way you're going to grow. And then Dave just mentioned the Modern Mortgage Summit, the 365 pass. It's $100, and it's just a great way for you to actually see a total of almost 30 speakers go through some of their great tips of how they're implementing a lot of these strategies that they're talking about here today.
And we'll put a link down below for all this. So some of the speakers were not able to be here live, and I pre-recorded that. I was thinking about like saying, hey, could the audience notice that it's pre-recorded? But I'm like, Mortgage Coach is all about creating transparency and making a competitive advantage. So let's check out the power of Zoom in a pre-recorded session with the one and only Shant Benoshian. So Shant, let's see what he has to say. All right, guys, it's time to bring on stage Shant Benoshian, the #1 loan officer in America. His team closed over 3,600 loans last year for $1.7 billion. So let's find out how Shant helps clients make informed decisions and what it sounds like when he's talking to a borrower for the first time. Let's get a feel for how he differentiates himself and how the borrower comes away from that conversation going, I need to do business with this guy. So Shant, jump on stage, brother.
Precise, very efficient with my time, but make sure it's a super impactful conversation. So I kind of lay the groundwork for the call. I tell them right from the beginning, I want them walking away from this conversation, this Zoom meeting, whether it's in person, over the phone, or over a Zoom call, walking away confident, knowledgeable, excited and empowered, right? In this market's very fast moving, right? So what I mean by that is that, offers are getting accepted, prices are going up, multiple offer situations, it's stressful, it's anxious. My goal is to have you so prepared financially in terms of knowing your numbers that eliminates a lot of the stress and anxiety. And that way you've got all the answers to the test. And I kind of view it like that. Like I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. I'm going to give you a bunch of information. By the end of this conversation, I want you to be able to answer all those things. How I get them confident, knowledgeable, empowered is I'm making sure they absolutely know what their max pre-approval is, what their comfort zone is, what their monthly budget is, and what goes into those things like, PITI, condo fees, PMI, all that stuff. What their closing costs and prepaids are going to be, so they know what they're budgeting for, what their range is in terms of down payment options, what they should be budgeting for rates, and what they should be budgeting, for down payment flexibility. But before I get into all that stuff, I let them know what I'm looking to accomplish and what I'm going to give them. But I also want to know what their goals are. I want to understand why they're looking to move, where they're looking to go, why it's important right now, what they expect out of me. I really want to establish trust, respect, and I want them to like me, and I want to like them. At this point in my career, the amount of volume that we do, the amount of transactions that we do, I find it that I just have more success if I'm fired up working for these people. So I really want to get into it. And to me, that's the meat and potatoes of it, guys. We always talk about I hear loan officers say, I want to take a 1003. That's how I build rapport. How you build rapport is figuring out, what's important to our clients and then delivering it and building a friendship. It doesn't take hours. You can build a great friendship and trust in 5 or 10 minutes.
So guys, I want to make sure everyone heard a couple things. You noticed before he said, I want them to like me, which I think that's every salesperson's goal. The first thing he said is, I want to like them. So he's focusing on liking the people that he's connecting with, which is naturally going to make them like him. He's focused on finding out what their hopes, dreams, and goals are. And then I love it. I mean, he we know, guys, look at the volume. You know, his team and himself closed 3,600 loans. He's like, I can have an effective, efficient, relationship building conversations in 5 or 10 minutes. So that's powerful. Anything else that you think would help people have a better opening conversation so that the family feels comfortable, feels confident? Anything else you want to share with everybody?
Yeah, I think I want them to know what they can expect from me throughout the course of home search, as a part of the pre-approval calls, as a part of supporting them as they're making offers, where I step in once their offer is accepted. You know, I want them to know that this isn't just a 10-minute conversation. This is the start of our relationship, but the start of me supporting you throughout the course of the process. And there's no obligation. I tell my clients, you know, I get asked all the time, is there an obligation here for this pre-approval call? No, I was like, no. My goal is to try to make you like me so much and offer you so much value that you want to work with me, but you're not obligated to work with me. And if I don't bring that to you, then go with somebody else.
Love that. Real quick, I did do a full 1-hour interview with you several weeks back. Guys, there'll be a link down below to the full 1-hour interview with Sean. But what is your mortgage coach why? You know, why are you and your team in the process of adopting mortgage coach? I just want to remind everybody of that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been great. What my why is we're doing more and more transactions as the team's grown. I want to make sure we're delivering an impactful, you know, same thing I was saying earlier, impactful presentation to our clients, whether they're looking to purchase or refinance, no matter who on the team is talking to them. And I find that we can be more efficient if the presentation is consistent every single time. It builds confidence in me. It builds confidence in the presentation to the client. It builds rhythm. It also eliminates confusion, and it just makes it very transparent. And as the production grows and as everything grows, transparency and consistency builds confidence in everybody involved in both sides of the transaction, the mortgage side as well as the consumer.
So that's also a reminder. He said a few things. I want people to know their down payment ranges. So in the total cost analysis, you can show multiple options with down payment options. You want people to know rates, you know, whether they want a really low rate and pay some points, you can put that. So I know you don't have a script for it, but I do want to hear some of your leadership that when someone does ask you, hey, what's your rate? I want to at least hear how you respond to that from a leadership perspective.
Yeah. So I have my, I'm a sports guy, so I always kind of bring everything back to sports. Like I have my playbook, I have my offensive philosophy, and I have my structure of how my call is going to go every single time. And I know that if I stick that structure, it's going to lead to massive success for myself, but more importantly, my client's going to get out of it what they need out of it, right? Like I know what they need, and you know, everybody leads with what's my rate, right? Like they just don't know what else to ask. It's an intimidating process, so it's a filler for them. You know, I'm sure some people truly mean it, but at the end of the day, like I'm not just a rate quoting machine. You can get that on my website, right? Like you can see our rates. Like, it's an impossible question to answer. So, you know, I kind of just stick to my script. You know, well, we're going to get to that. I appreciate you asking that question. That's one of the things I'm going to go over. So here's where we go from here. And I cover, you know, I establish credibility in terms of who I am and who my company is, and in terms of like what we bring to the table. I immediately start, you know, figuring out what their goals are, because, you know, how can I quote them a rate without figuring out, you know, what they want to buy, where they want to go, when it's going to be, what kind of loan product. Like I got to do some fact finding. And I tell them that, like, I can't give you a quote. It's very customized to you without having all your qualifying credentials and figuring out what you want. So, and then I get into how the structure of the rest of the call is going to go, the information that I'm going to need from them in order to do my job. And then I'm very transparent about, here's all the information I'm going to provide you at the end of it. And you can stand behind it, and it'll all be accurate based on how the first part of the call goes. So, and if they don't, you know, and there's, you know, so somebody might be saying, well, what happens if the person is not good with that? There's going to be, most people, if you establish yourself as a professional and you're confident and you know what you're talking about, they're going to let you drive, right? Like they're coming to you as the mortgage professional, right? They don't really want to drive. You know, is there outliers that people do want? Absolutely. You know, I'll just direct them to my website. You know, like I'll just say, look, if you just want rates, there's plenty of people on our website. Plenty of options on our website. You can go on there. However, if you want a consultation and you want me to really add value to your home search, then, you know, I'll do that. But if you just want like a rate sheet, you know, rate.com/Shant. There's tons of rates on there, you know?
Love that. So I wrote down in terms of structure, credibility, there's a 30-second to 1 minute, how you and your company create credibility. There's what are their goals, and then you're providing solutions and strategies. And
Yes.
because you're so consistent in the way that you do it, you become really confident, and people play off that confidence. Did I miss any key categories?
Yeah, I mean,
Credibility,
I truly, like, I think sometimes the misconception about us is that, like, one, they don't think, and I think a lot of people think I'm actually not talking to clients, whereas, like, that's literally all I'm doing all day long. From the minute I get here to the minute I leave is talking to clients. And my point is this, is that, but I'm not a rate quoting machine. Like, that's not what I've done. I am all about value. And I truly feel like, one, I believe in what we offer to our clients in terms of value that I can add from my experience into the way I do things. And then I can help them get their offer accepted. I can help them get a better deal. I can help them understand what they need. And so if they don't want value, then I'm probably not a good fit. Like, if they don't want somebody that's I'm not a good fit for somebody that just wants, like, a rate and nothing else. Like, that's not, and as I've gotten more mature and confident in myself as a professional, I've believed in myself more. And I've actually really understood how important, like, offering that value is, because that value leads to repeat business. It leads to long-term clients. It leads to referrals, and it leads to your referral partners. If they don't appreciate value, they just want to, like, a quote. There's rate sheet lenders for that kind of stuff. That's not who we are.
I love it. And I love how you're helping them get their offer accepted. We're in a pivot to purchase market, guys. I'm going to put a link down below to one of Shant's total cost analysis. We'll just do one of those down payment option TCAs. One last question, Shant, before you go. Not only do people need to show up awesome with borrowers to have great conversion and to deliver value, but they need to get meetings with realtors. So just give me a minute. Like, if you were going to be calling a realtor that you wanted to get a meeting with, give us a feel for how that would sound.
Yeah. So again, it's beyond, like, we always talk about being beyond a solid pre-approval, right? Like, beyond a solid mortgage experience. My goal is, again, it's same core foundation and principles. It's all about adding value. I feel like I can help my referral partners in terms of improving personally, professionally, and in their community, right? And, like, we're going to share everything that we're doing to grow our business and help them grow their business, and in return do a better job for their clients and just share information. So we absolutely lead with just providing a ton of information. Obviously, we want to find out what's important to them to be able to cater to our partners. But our lifeblood is our consumers that buy the houses and refinance, and then also our referral partners. And everything we do is just figure out every single day how we can help them do more business, be more comfortable, grow, except professionally, personally, and in their communities. And that's really, really important to us. And I don't think a lot of people are leading that way. I'm not leading with rate sheets and closing costs and loan programs. I find that the best referral partners I have, you don't build trust that way. I think it's assumed that if you're a professional, you have all that stuff. Like, everybody's got rates and products and all that stuff, but, like, that's not what grabs somebody's attention.
So personally, professionally, and in their community. And guys, I've interviewed enough top producers to know that is unique. A lot of people talk about, hey, have a meeting with me and I'm going to show you how to get more leads. Hey, have a meeting with you and I'm going to show you how to improve conversion. But personally, professionally, and community, that's a bigger promise. So we're going to do more on that script next time I interview Shant. Shant, thank you very much for jumping into Script-a-palooza and helping make it awesome. I appreciate you.
I love it. Love talking about this kind of stuff. It's great.
All right. Take care, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, guys. That was Shant Benoshian, America's top team leader. What's also impressive about Shant is there was only a couple people that we have on this stage that are averaging over 200 loans per team member. So while he has a huge team, he's doing almost 300 loans per team member. So super impressive. Todd, anything you want to add to that?
Well, I mean, I think you just nailed it, right? You asked him so many questions from every different direction with regards to, what's on everyone here's mind. And I just love the way that he approached the rate question. I think that, we know that that's such a hard script in any market, but especially right now as rates are going up. And so I just love the fact that he's selling value and he's okay pushing off those people who aren't. And then, I think that one of the things we've seen so far from all the speakers is, again, they're taking a different consultative approach using the total cost analysis as their secret weapon. And, I just love the fact that they're all tying it in and dollarizing things and making that piece stand out, which I think is just really critical in any market, but especially today.
Well, the timing is perfect to give you guys a Mortgage Coach commercial. There are two sponsors of today's events. That is Mortgage Coach, and that is Win by Noon. And Todd will give a commercial to that in just a little bit. But a number of you have asked, like, what is Mortgage Coach? How much does it cost? And how do I sign up? So before we bring up our next guest, here is a little Mortgage Coach commercial.
Mortgage Coach for me gives me a professional presentation that is the same every time, that speaks to every single client.
It's the most simplistic technology that I can use quickly and efficiently and effectively for my clients to understand a very difficult financial message.
It's the most important piece of software that we use, and we've got a pretty good technology stack. But if I had just one piece, it would have to be Mortgage Coach.
Ability for someone to look and learn through their eyes with colors and charts. Video that can connect on a human level so that you can educate and show people exactly how this is going to benefit them and what the value is to them. And then, of course, it has bottom line numbers on it as well.
And sometimes that message can be very overwhelming. It can be confusing, and Mortgage Coach allows it to be delivered very simple.
It allows me to have a conversation with somebody at a much deeper level than 90% of the competition.
I really think that it just always comes back to education. I think that it allows you to truly educate a client.
And I want to be able to deliver that in a very easy way where they can feel good about the decision they're making.
The TCA, the total cost analysis, allows you to create an experience for a client that puts you on par with the Ubers and the Delta apps and the rest of the way that people want to actually digest content.
Is one of those special things in our business that allows us to truly educate and show the bigger picture.
Comparisons of 15-year versus 30-year, the comparison of, hey, what if we prepaid our principal by an extra $200 a month? And the clarity that that provides to the consumer, second to none.
And so for me, when it comes to a return on investment, what Mortgage Coach and the total cost analysis do, number one, they help my conversion.
If I can take my conversion ratio, increase it by 30%, it's a no-brainer.
So that's why Mortgage Coach is the number one piece of technology for me and my team.
I mean, it's just one of these secrets. Don't tell anybody. No, tell everybody, because it is really what our community deserves.
So guys, if you want to sign up for Mortgage Coach, we'll put a link down below. Just look out for that link. And a number of you have asked, what's the price? Well, guys, it's only cost $120. But the real cost of Mortgage Coach is if you're not using it, you're losing loans. So write down, like, how much do you make per loan? And that's what it's costing you per month right now if you don't have Mortgage Coach. So we hope to have you on the team. We've got a lot more guests to come. Anything you want to add to that, Todd, before we bring up our next guest?
I just love that. Made me laugh, right? The big cost is actually the loans you're losing. And that's so true. I mean, my team has served over 5,000 families over the last number of years. And it's a go-to tool for us. I always joke with Dave, I literally bought Mortgage Coach my first day in the mortgage business. I went to a seminar. I'd never closed a loan, never talked to a client. And I bought it because I just knew it was going to be my secret weapon. So I would encourage anyone to jump in. Also, those of you who are watching it who aren't part of the Mortgage Coach Productivity Facebook community, just look up Mortgage Coach Productivity Mastermind. Dave and I started that group almost 5 years ago. Got 11,500 members, and it's just a great place to access all these resources as well.
So, and just to make sure people really get what is Mortgage Coach, this is just a picture of it, but it's got your picture, your branding. This is one of Shant's purchase options where you can just show down payment options. So for those that don't know what it is, it's really simple. It's the modern way to deliver rates and fees to family, and it's the modern way to turn clarity into a competitive advantage. So let's bring up our next guest, another Mortgage Coach Grandmaster, Alex Varala, coming to us out of just outside of Dallas, Texas. Last year, him and his family helped 567 families for over $152 million in production. Alex, welcome to Script-a-palooza.
Thanks, sir. Glad to be here. Can you hear me okay?
I can, man. It's good to see you, dude.
All right. Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me.
And thanks for everything you do to help grow Mortgage Coach at Prime. All of the loan officers that are on here, they're here to help the whole Mortgage Coach community, but they also help grow this mission that we have at Mortgage Coach within their individual companies. So thank you, brother. So what script do you want to cover today?
We're going to talk about how I approach financial advisors, which I think is a good part of our business. It's the part of the business I enjoy the most is dealing with another professional. And I think it has a different type of chemistry as well. They're a different breed, so approach is a little bit different.
Well, it's interesting. I want to remind everybody, I gave every speaker, like, what do you want to talk about? You're going to be talking to your peers at your company. You're going to be talking to your mortgage friends. You're going to be talking to the Mortgage Coach community. What do you think they need to hear? And so this is the second time where we've had a over $100 million producer that said, you know what? I want to talk about how I'm working with advisors. So what's it sound like?
Yeah, so I'm going to set the stage first. Anytime I speak or whatever, I'm usually like more of like a teacher than just like telling you how things are done, and then you trying to extract out of that how to do it. I like to give you like step by step, like these are the 3 easy steps. It's just the way I learn in bullet point form. So I'll set the stage, I'll give you the steps, and then maybe if Mr. Bookspan's willing, we'll just like role play if you guys are up for it briefly to just do a quick role play over the phone. So the assumptions are I'm a soft seller. I'm not a very aggressive salesperson. Most of what I do is what I consider a soft sell. You can like Google soft selling techniques. I got it from the restaurant industry where it's like suggestive selling. Instead of asking if they want something to drink, you say, hey, would you like a cappuccino, a glass of wine, or, a whatever, a margarita, right? So we all have heard it, before. So soft selling, part of my soft selling technique is to ask for permission. To me, it respects people's time. And it also puts them in a position to either comply with your request or to basically kind of be rude and uncomfortable and deny your request, which a lot of us don't like to deny requests, so they typically comply. So you're getting their buy-in as you're going through the conversation. So I ask for permission. Financial advisors, the best time to speak to them is after the market closes. So if you talk to a lot of them and ask them like, hey, like, how about I call you like pre-market or during the market? They're like, I'm busy. Like, I really don't want to. But, for us in Central Standard Time, 3 to 5 p.m. is kind of when we like to hit them. Phone, email, whatever. They are like loan officers in the fact that they do like to drink, and they will meet you for a drink if you want to do that. But I usually just try to get them on the phone. And they respect your hustle. A lot of times when I'm reaching out to financial advisors, they're actually very encouraging. They're like, hey, I like your email. I have somebody, but like, keep going. And then I rebuttal back to their email with something else. And they're like, man, I like this guy. Like I like that you keep going. So that just sets the stage for kind of a little bit about what we're doing before we approach them. So how I approach them is like, if it's over the phone, it's an introduction. I know it's pretty basic, and I'll go over introduction. I ask permission to speak. So introduction, permission, and once they give me permission, I kind of throw off the conversation a little bit by telling like a random quick personal story, something brief, just like a comment about something that really has nothing to do with why I'm even calling them, because it just kind of becomes human, and it kind of honestly helps me with my own nerves, because as many times as I've made these calls, I'm still nervous. I'm still reluctant to do these things, okay? So we got the introduction, we got the permission, we have a personal story. And then after that, I ask them, how are they doing? I turn it back on them. I let them chat a little bit. And after they tell me a little bit about their day, then I ask the question, okay? And the question is, I am calling to ask if you have a mortgage professional that you currently do business with, okay? And then from there, they're going to say yes or no. After that, we're going to offer our services anyway and see if they're open, and then we'll give them the value proposition. So the opportunities for the advisor are one of 4 opportunities. So I tell them, hey, I know that you guys are already consulting your clients on their mortgage, their insurance, like they go through all of that. We already know they're doing it. So without even speaking to me, you can do a mortgage checkup for your client, okay? They don't even need to speak to me. I can deal with you directly, okay? And there's 4 opportunities we're looking for. The first of which is debt consolidation, because debt is the enemy of true wealth. And if you're trying to help your clients be wealthier, they need to eliminate all debt immediately, okay? So we look for debt consolidation, which is a cash out or a HELOC, depending on where you're at. Lower payments. So lower payment frees up cash flow, as well as debt consolidation. So you consolidate your debt, you free up cash flow, take that money, give it back to your advisor, okay? Lower the payment, same concept, free up cash flow, take that money, give it back to your advisor. Or just, I don't have any debt, I don't care about my payment, everything is fine, but I'm sitting on $200,000 of equity earning 0% interest when my advisor can take that money and outperform my interest rate, okay? Well, then we do a cash out lump sum, take that money, give it back to the advisor. The last kind of analysis you want to do is like, if they truly want to pay off their home, and the reason why this would help the advisor is if we do it through the mortgage, then they're not going to take out money from their already existing account to pay off their home. So let's do it with the mortgage vehicle so that way they can leave the money with the advisor long term. So the 4th opportunity is for them to drop from like a 30 to a 25 to a 20 to a 15 or a 10 or whatever, right? Okay. So that's really the pitch. So in practice, just like to kind of go over it, Mr. Bookspan, you want to go with me real quick? Just
I am so ready, Alex. I'm a
okay.
financial
Just real
advisor. The
quick.
market's just closed, so I'm good. I'm good to go.
All right. So the call will go a little something like this. The phone's ringing. Mr. Bookspan answers the phone. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Todd.
Hey, Mr. Bookspan. This is Alex Varala from Prime Lending Home Loans. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good, but please call me Todd.
Okay, Todd. Hey, I was just wondering, do you have about 5 minutes that I could chat with you?
Absolutely. What's up?
Awesome. Man, you know, it's weird. I've been using this thing I have. It's called like the Upright and Go. So weird. Helps me with my posture, and it was just kind of like vibrating right now, and it just kind of like threw me off a little bit. So if I sound a little jittery or something like that, it's because this thing is telling me that I'm slouching in my chair. So did you have a good day in the market today?
You know, I did, other than I slouched a little too much. Thanks for the reminder.
Awesome. Well, real quick, I just want to find out, do you have a mortgage professional that you're working with right now?
You know, not really. I got a couple people that I know that every once in a while send me a client. What's going on with you?
Awesome. Well, I work with a lot of advisors, and we help them grow their business by kind of mining their database for them. And I can tell you a little bit about it. It'll take me just a couple minutes. If you have like 2 more moments, I'll give you just like 4 takeaways to take with you. Does that sound okay? Awesome. So what we do is we know that you're already speaking with your clients about everything financial, especially the mortgage, because it's one of the biggest debts they have. So while you're doing that, all we're asking is that you can actually just check in with me. I don't need to speak to your client. You know enough about them already. Me and you can just do business together. And there's just 4 opportunities we're seeking out for them, okay? The first of which is to debt consolidate, because we know debt is the enemy of wealth. And so most of your clients, I'm pretty sure, have some debt. So we want to talk to them about wrapping that debt into the mortgage, freeing up cash flow, and giving that money back to you. The second opportunity we want to talk to them about is lowering their payment. Very simple. Save me a few $100s a month, take that money, give it back to the financial advisor, let them invest it. The third is, hey, maybe I don't have any debt, maybe my payment's fine, but I'm sitting on $200,000 worth of equity. Let's take that money out, put it to work in the market for you. Last but not least, which is not like the go-to, but it is still an option, is to kind of drop the term and help them pay off the home faster. If this is something some of your older clients are looking at doing, coming closer to retirement, what it does is it just uses the mortgage vehicle to pay off the home and then leave the money in the account with you, so that way it just continues to grow and they don't have to pull that money out to pay off a home. So what I'll do is I'll follow up with you with just a quick email recapping everything, because I want to respect your time. I'll send that to you, and then I'll probably follow up with you in a few days, maybe next week, just to kind of circle back. Does that sound okay?
That sounds great.
Awesome. Thanks for your time. That's how it goes. Real
So
quick call.
I love that. Do they ever, when you try to say, I'll send you this follow-up email, do they ever try to engage and ask you more questions?
More times than not, yeah. And then that's what you want. You kind of want to be brief and respect their time and let them give you their time. You know, like if somebody is just taking up a lot of my time, or they start talking over me or not giving me permission, it really is frustrating. So, but once they start giving you the time, that's when you know you got somebody on the line. And then you kind of settle in, you calm down, you talk with them, you do the banter because they're giving you their time. They're engaging with you. And then from there, it's easier to make a sell. Awesome.
Awesome. One other quick question. Someone's asking, what is your script if you get the gatekeeper instead of getting the planner directly?
Yeah. So let's say I asked you if you had time. You said no. Okay. That's the first opportunity where they just shut you down. You go, great, I respect your time. And then you follow up with, may I, send you just an email to follow up? Most people would be like, yeah, that's cool. Right. And then you can at least follow up with the email. The second place where you give them an opportunity to kind of like say no is like, hey, do you have a second? Yeah, I do. And then you ask them the question, hey, do you have a mortgage professional you're working with already? And they go, yes. Okay, then you have to be prepared to offer something different. And I always say, hey, I respect your relationship and I don't want to step on any toes. I do believe I have something just a little bit different because it's not so much about what we're doing, it's about who you're doing it with. And I would like to speak with you about that, okay? And they don't know who you are. They don't know that you're one of the best. And you kind of need to have that discussion because who knows who they're working with. For me in particular, another go-to is that we also speak Spanish and Vietnamese. And so what we always talk to them about is, oh, that's cool. If you ever have the need for somebody that speaks Spanish or Vietnamese, we would love to help those people out. And then they're like, oh, okay, like y'all speak different languages. That is completely different than what I'm doing today. So that's usually how we handle those rebuttals.
I love that. So once you memorize the script, go out and learn Spanish and or Vietnamese. That would be another great suggestion. I really think that, Alex, you do such a great job of the teaching part, right? So one thing maybe take away is that Alex breaks things down into steps. Those of you who bought the 365 Pass to the Modern Mortgage Summit saw that in there. One of my favorite, if not my favorite video, was his video on saying no. I just love that one. But all of Alex's videos were great. And you can see that he does that over and over. And I find that it's something that a lot of people can replicate to improve their sales skills.
Love it. So another thing, I just couldn't help it, Alex, but you called out debt consolidation. And for the thousands of people on this call that are already Mortgage Coach members, you guys have this right now. And for those that are soon to become Mortgage Coach members, we have upgraded the debt consol capabilities. So your ability to show a family like, hey, here's your mortgage, here's your car, here's your different debts. And then model that, look at it. What does that mean short-term? What does that mean long-term? You can model everything from, hey, what if you consolidated your debts and you prepaid your mortgage? How much interest would you save? How much faster would you pay off your home? Or financial planners love it when you say, hey, what if you consolidated your debts and you started investing that extra $500 or that extra $1,000 with that planner? And it nets it out. It's interactive. Guys, this is a service that is so valuable, the way Mortgage Coach powers and automates a debt consol, a financial makeover, that literally you could charge money for it. Alex, any closing thoughts before we bring on our next superstar?
Just in closing, I do provide the total cost analysis using the tool that Dave kind of showed just now with debt consolidation or reinvesting monthly or reinvesting a lump sum. So that is something that actually is part of the pitch, is when we email them, we do email them a TCA showing like, hey, this is what your clients receive after we do the analysis. It's not just like a normal, loan estimate or estimated fees worksheet, which we use in our business. This is the presentation that your consumer is going to get, and it looks great. And, it makes them feel like, okay, I'm dealing with a professional. So that's it.
Love it. So Frank, who just asked a question, if you need help with figuring out how to use that, you can look at one of the videos in our YouTube channel, or you can email support@mortgagecoach.com. Tammy, yeah, we have lots of trainers. I mean, we train every day of the week. There's live training at Mortgage Coach on everything that we're sharing. So before we bring on Stephanie, our next leader, Todd, I know you wanted to do a commercial for the Modern Real Estate Summit.
Well, real quick, let's just reset the deck. For those of you just joining us, this is the fourth, I don't know if it's called annual because we don't do it exact same time every year, annual Script-a-palooza. It's brought to you by Win by Noon and Mortgage Coach. We are so happy you're here. Dave, I don't have the link to that video. I thought you were going to grab it. So our little technical piece.
Well, this is for the Modern Real Estate Summit. So guys, I'm showing the website right now. And just like we did the Modern Mortgage Summit, and we will have a commercial for that before the end of the event, we're doing the same thing only with realtors. So top producing real estate agents, including the #1 realtor in America, Jason Mitchell, are going to be 6 of them are going to be doing keynotes. They're 18-minute keynotes. And then we've got a host of them that are going to be doing 3 and 5-minute how-to. You're going to hear Nicole Solari, who I've interviewed multiple times. Open houses have changed, but Nicole has evolved. So what is her scripting? So just a lot of top producers. This is one of those events where the way we're positioning it and the way that we're doing it, it's going to be great for realtors. It's going to be great for mortgage professionals. And it's going to be even better if you're a mortgage professional and you watch it with your realtor. So you could buy it now. More to be coming. We're just announcing that we're doing it, but there's a buy now button. And we would love to have you join that. Todd, anything you want to add to it?
You know what? I would just say it's cheap, right? It's $99, and it's just a great opportunity for you to learn from the best in the real estate side, right? So you're trying to get real estate agents to want to work with you. You're trying to add value to your real estate agents, and think about that. What a better way to do it than to sit on the real estate version of the Modern Mortgage Summit. So those of you who were part of the Modern Mortgage Summit, it just was over the top awesome. And just think about the fact that we've got that caliber of real estate agents that are going to be presenting. I mean, when you look at the numbers that some of these people have put out, it is astounding. All of them just about are over $100 million in production. And when you've got people in the billions, it's just super crazy. So it is an all-star lineup, and we're super excited to be bringing that to you as the second in our series of whatever you'd call it, modern events, modern summits.
Yeah, and you guys can buy multiple up to 10. If you want to buy more than 10 tickets, email Todd or myself, Dave at Mortgage Coach, or private message us, and we'll actually do it with Todd. I mean, it's a Win by Noon event, and I'm helping with the content. So if you want to buy more, Todd, how can they email you?
Just Todd at winbynoon.com. And someone's asking, it'll be a virtual event. So just like the Modern Mortgage Summit was a virtual event, we'll be live. And so Dave and I, along with a couple of other co-hosts, will actually be live on April 21st, 21, 4/21/21. And we will be hosting it live. And then we'll have video speakers on there. And then the content will be available for 30 days after. So when you buy a passport, you'll get the day live as well as 30-day access. And the reviews were just phenomenal, with regards to the Modern Mortgage Summit. And our goal is to take what we learned from doing that event and make this event even better.
Right on. And one question, how long? It'll be about 6 hours in total length. Although remember, it will be available on demand. So you can just go in and watch the sessions you want. So you can watch it all at once. 80%, we had over 6,000 people live watching the Modern Mortgage Summit, but you can also go in for 30 days and watch what you want. So let's bring on our next guest. I did put a link, by the way, in chat. So if you want to sign up, link in chat. I want to welcome Stephanie Johnston to the stage. Welcome to Script-a-palooza, Stephanie.
Hey, Dave.
It is awesome. I am so grateful for the leadership you've brought to this community over the past few years. Stephanie and her team, coming to you live out of Texas, helped 551 families last year for $127 million in production. The numbers I'm most impressed with is the number of total cost analysis. Her and her team have done 2,822 TCAs and 68 in the past 30 days. So Stephanie, what script do you want to cover today?
Well, I was trying to think of what what would be different to talk about today. And I went through a lot of different items, and took a little different approach than everyone else. And I wanted to talk about when your client says, I'm going to leave you for XYZ big bank or XYZ lender. And I think I wanted to touch on a lot of things that everyone in this group, or a lot of people in this group have, but they don't realize why you're so much different than a big bank and why to stay with you, the local mortgage expert. Why this is a little something that I, best way to put it, know a little bit more about is I actually started my career at a call center. So I was one of the people that never had done a loan in my life. They threw us on the phones with zero experience, zero mortgage experience. Taught me a lot. But I also look at, okay, well, if you're calling me versus them, what are all the reasons that you'd want to stay with a local mortgage advisor than going with, say, that 800 number? And one of the first things that I lead with when a customer says, hey, I think I'm going to go to XYZ bank. I'm going to go use them for the loan. And I said, okay, how did you get referred to me? Did your realtor send you, did you find us from a good friend, our past client, online, something of that sort? And then I say, well, how did you get to that loan officer at the bank? And most of the time they're going to say, well, I called an 800 number. Okay. Well, how do you know that that's not the loan officer's first loan that they've ever originated, or their, thousandth loan? You don't. Do you have reviews for that specific person or not? So yes, they're your bank, but you have no idea who you're trusting for the mortgage. And when this is such a big purchase, is that a good idea? And it makes them kind of caught off guard, like, oh, I didn't think of it that way. They're my bank, but I don't know anything about this person. And then I do I search and know the different websites, but hey, Mr. Client, did you look at the reviews of that company? Does that loan officer have reviews? Most of the time the answer is either no, they don't at all, or if they're there, they're not good. And then I send them over to where we collect our reviews, and I've said, okay, we have over 600 five-star reviews that are recent, and here's what our clients have to say about us. I mean, why would you choose anything different? So those are some of the main points. And what the other things? Some of the other things that I talk about is when you're going up against a big bank, know what that other company offers. So do they have overlays? So meaning that when we do a loan, can we sell it here, 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 and not have to get these extra steps? A client doesn't always think, they say, I have 800 credit score. I'm a great candidate for a loan. I'm not going to have any trouble obtaining this mortgage. And those are the customers that'll go off to the big banks and say, it's completely fine. Okay, well, what if, so we use tax transcripts or, issues with appraisals, all these little things that here locally we can get past. And a lot of times at the bank, you're either not going to make the closing date or they're going to actually, deny the loan. And we use specific examples that I don't want to get into right now as to why that you want to stay with us as a local lender. But one of the biggest things that I find is the biggest problem with using some of the call center loan officers, and sorry if I say it that way, that's just more my life came from, or the big banks, is most of the time they send nothing in writing. So we're sending a TCA and we do a total cost analysis on every single customer that leaves our desk, like every single one, purchase, refi, it doesn't matter, everyone gets one. And one of the first questions I ask is, Mr. Borrower, okay, you're looking at their website and you see their rates. Well, how much are they charging you to do the loan? Do you know how much the payment is? Do you know how much the cash to close is? And 90% of the time, guys, they say, I don't know. They just gave me a pre-qual. And it's one of those things that I feel like is financially irresponsible of a loan officer to have them shopping for a home, no matter if they're a first-time home buyer experience, without the facts and data to feel comfortable with the purchase. And you would be really, really surprised at how many don't even get a fee worksheet. Like they get nothing. So then when we have a full total cost analysis versus they've had a conversation with nothing in writing, it's honestly easier to take the loan away from them after they've talked at them, regardless of what the rate is.
So I love that. And, I've interviewed a lot of top producers, and one of the things I've heard scripting around, I think it was Jeremy Forcier who said it, is that when that conversation starts and you're competing with another lender, he always goes, hey, could you forward me their total cost analysis where they showed you options and costs over time, and then wait for them? Do you do anything similar to that? That's just kind of a ninja move against the big banks, online lenders, and anyone that, you know, you're competing with?
We'll ask, and that's the crazy thing. I tell the team, it's myself and my team, and we ask that question, and they're like, oh, I don't have anything in writing, like nothing. And even if they do, it's a generic fee worksheet. I've never, ever had a bank or, you know, a small lender, internet lender send a total cost analysis. They just don't. Prove me wrong, someone in this group, but I've never seen it. And so you're so much different than them. You're leading with education and going through this. And again, I pushed back and said, would you want to use a loan officer that wanted you to go look at homes when you have no idea the monthly payment? You don't know how much money you need to close. You don't have any of the tools to successfully purchase a home. Do you want to use someone that thinks that's a good idea? And that's one of the biggest things that then the client thinks about it and says, well, no, I shouldn't do that.
Yeah, another add-on script for that, guys, is, and do you want to work with a lender who didn't give you options? Do you want to work with a lender who didn't show you the cost and how those compare over 5 years? And do you want to work with a lender who's going to help you build wealth over the course of your lifetime with helping you manage your mortgage, doing annual reviews? So Stephanie, you're an amazing leader in the mortgage coach community. Todd, any questions or comments before we bring on our next speaker?
Really is more of a comment. I mean, if you guys listen, Stephanie did a great job of basically asking questions that essentially put the other lender down without actually putting the other lender down, right? And then she's able to elevate herself. And so I think that that's always, you know, you never want to be the negative person who says, oh yeah, that person's just a call center, they stink. You know, it's how do you actually challenge them? And so that's all she's doing. She's actually bringing up the questions that they haven't thought about because of the relationship with that bank or however they found them. And so I just applaud you, Stephanie. I think that that's such a great approach, and it's just really refreshing for your consumer and your client to hear.
And I think that's the big thing of not, if you take it as a negative approach, like, oh, the bank's terrible, don't use them, the client gets defensive because they say, well, that's my bank. One of the things I always like to say is that's okay that they're your bank, but just because they do your banking doesn't mean they need to do your mortgage. So use them for your banking because you never put them down, right? They love them as their bank, but let us be mortgage advisors and help you through that. And, you know, those key points of just the reviews, it just shocks me. Like, you cannot find reviews on some of these, and some of the companies that used to have them buried them. And I said, if you do as many loans as Bank XYZ does, and you can't find a couple 100,000 reviews, there's something wrong with that, because you're not wanting your consumers to say what's going on at the, you know, in the back end of that. And, you know, that plus just, again, nothing in writing and, you know, the limited product offerings, it makes the client think through that. And then there's not even a competition. And I tell my realtors as well, I rarely lose, no matter the rate. I've never lost a loan to maybe that mortgage company that's owned by a real estate company. I don't lose to the some of those internet lenders. I don't lose to banks, because we have these conversations up front, and we ask who else they're calling and handle it up front. And usually we keep the client.
Well, Stephanie, you're killing it. Thank you for being a great leader in the mortgage coach community. Appreciate you. We're going to bring Bill Gaylord on stage in just a minute. Following Bill Gaylord, we're going to have Jeremy Forcier. And we've got about 3 more speakers after that. We're going to close the show with Shayla Gifford, is going to share an amazing script on how she teaches and trains real estate agents to refer her. And actually, there's going to be 2 of the leaders that thought that, hey, I'm going to be on stage. What do I want to show? They thought it's so important that not only do they get referrals, but how they're referred matters. So the last speaker of the day will be Shayla Gifford. Before we bring Bill on stage, Todd, do you want to do a quick commercial for Win by Noon?
Absolutely. You know, I'll keep it really quick, but oftentimes I find in this community, people don't really know what Win by Noon is. And, you know, I just look at it this way, right? If you ever got to the end of the day, you know, you woke up in the morning, you had a really, like a great plan. Like, you knew exactly what you were going to do. You were going to just get up, you were going to crush it. You had this list of things that were super important to your business. And then, you know, as soon as you walk out the door and hop in your car, your processor calls and, you know, tells you that there's some paycheck stub they want you to chase down, or your real estate agent calls you and they just get you off of your plan. And then you realize it's 5:30 and you actually didn't accomplish any of your most important priorities. You know, that happened to me, right? When I was an originator, I kind of got stuck and I couldn't figure out what it was. I had a great team. I had great realtor partners. I'd done great business. In fact, I'd closed over 400 loans the previous 3 years for, you know, $80 million a year. But I wanted to be a $100 million producer and I just couldn't figure it out. And when I actually tracked my time and realized what it was that I was actually not getting my most important priorities done because I was too busy pleasing everybody else. If someone said, "Hey, Todd, can you do this?" I said yes, whether or not it was my most important thing. And so what I did that following year was I said, I'm just going to block my calendar. So I blocked off my morning and made it so that nobody could schedule anything for me. And I got up and I did those things that I knew I should do every day, but I wasn't consistent in doing. And in doing so, I realized that if I actually was recording and tracking the activities and results, that I could actually get better. So when I'm asked on what is Win by Noon, it's literally just a day planner. This is the Mortgage Coach Launch Edition for new users. And it's just really a day planner that helps you be more efficient planning your time. Even if you're a digital person, you actually need to act, you have paper somewhere, you're taking notes, you're doing something. And a lot of my users just say, gosh, I use it as my planning tool. I write down my to-do list in there and I have my calendar in there and I'm more productive. And great, that's awesome. It's also a business planning tool. Most people use it because it actually has pages in here where you will actually come in and you'll actually record the activities that you do in a day. At the end of the week and at the end of the month, you'll actually compare those to your results. You'll figure out your conversion rates. So as a business planning tool, people actually use it and grow even more. And then last but not least, it's a philosophy, right? We're trying to create something of a movement, like do your most important things first. Guess what? It typically doesn't even take till noon, but if you can win by noon, you're going to win your day. You're going to grow your business. And I found for me, I grew my business 45% that year. That following year, I closed over 550 loans for over $110 million. And it was just a game changer for me. And as I was telling other people about it, they said, gosh, if you could do that for me, Todd, I think I could be more productive. And guess what? That's how Win by Noon was born. And so we put out the planner. It's super cheap. It's getting ready to go up at the end of March. So through March 31st, you can, for basically free, you can get a free trial. It's $12.99 a month if you get a subscription. It's going to be going up to $19.99 a month. If you use the code SCRIPT21, then you'll get the first month free. So you can actually try it. If you don't like it, you can cancel it. And so we're just trying to make it a no-brainer because we'd love to have more of you in here as part of our community. We're trying to grow as a movement to get people to actually be more productive and actually win their day, but actually win it by noon. And last but not least, there's also a real estate agent version. So those of you who are into helping your real estate agents plan, it's just a great tool to help them grow. So you just go to winbynoon.com, you hit order a monthly subscription, you type in the code SCRIPT20, it's good through March 31st, and you'll get basically a free trial. You get it to run, and then a month later, you'll get charged $12.99. It's a bargain. And if for some reason you don't like it, then cancel. We'd still be friends. I won't be totally offended. Last thing I'll say is if you think about the cost of that, literally, if I can help you close one more loan and be productive, it like pays for itself over the next 15, 20 years. So you might as well just do it. It's cheap. Love to have you part of our community.
So guys, we'll put a link to that down below. I have interviewed thousands of top producing loan officers and they all track what they do. They all plan what they do. We're going to bring on Jeremy Forcier after Bill Gaylord. He's going to share how he's getting meetings with realtors. But you know what? Jeremy tracks every single lead. What do he do? What's the source? And Win by Noon is made by top producers for top producers. So check out a link down below. So let's bring on Bill Gaylord. Bill Gaylord is coming to you live. I don't know if he's actually in San Diego or Vegas right now. Him and his very large team, mega team as you'd call it, did 1,482 loans last year. So a lot of families served for $672 million. They've got a presence in San Diego. They are a market leader in San Diego, and they also have a presence in Las Vegas. Bill Gaylord, welcome to the stage.
Dave, thanks so much. I'm excited to be here, and I am in San Diego today. So having some fun today in the studio. I've got my engineer over here, Leandra. So hopefully we'll get some good stuff out there today. And by the way, Win by Noon, Todd, can I get like done by noon and then just not work anymore after that?
Sure.
You know, you could. In theory, I think you just do those proactive activities in the morning and then you react all day. But there's no doubt if you can get all of your calls and all of the things you need to get done, you know, why not? Why not head out to the beach and put that surfboard back in the water?
I like that. I like that. So anyways, I wanted to get my when I grow up, I want to be like Denise, right?
There you go.
This is the best I could do in short notice. But anyways, great speakers so far, Dave. Love it, love it, love it. Can't wait to hear from Jeremy and Shayla. They're awesome.
Well, we're going to close the show with Shayla. I don't know whether it's going to be an hour from now, but she will be the last speaker, and we got to get Jeremy on stage soon. So Bill, what do you got? Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was going to say today, what I'd like to talk about is just building rapport. I mean, we are out there every single day trying to compete against so many different mortgage companies. These big mortgage companies are, even our company, spending hundreds of millions of dollars on ads and advertising, and they're trying to get to the consumer first. So we're very, very motivated to try and differentiate ourselves and build rapport. And I believe that all the little things add up. You want to add them all up to get to the big wow. So I'm going to talk a little bit about building rapport first, and then I also want to talk about how we incorporate the video into our plan, because the real issue was we used to try and go face-to-face. Everything used to be face-to-face, and you would try and get people into the office, and you'd get them in front of your desk, and if you could get them in the office, you could secure that deal. And so it became less and less out there in the marketplace, just, with the technology, the online apps got a little bit better. Some individuals didn't want to come into the office. But now, obviously, it stopped. I mean, it stopped last year with the pandemic. And so we had to change into the new world, right? We now have to compete, and the face-to-face is completely gone. So we're on the phone, and the phone is good, but you're also competing with other people that are on the phone. And the people that are on the phone may have a better voice. I mean, some people think that I have an old lady voice. I don't want that to be the impression that they have. And so we use video in so many different ways, Dave. And I want to go through a little bit about that, talk a little bit about building the rapport and just standing out. So the first thing that I'm going to do, Dave, is talk a little bit about just kind of the setup. We're going to have someone is referred to you potentially by a realtor, but they're also shopping with maybe a big bank, as Stephanie was talking about, a big, call center, and you have to try and differentiate yourself. So the phone call would go something like this. Hey, my name is Megan, and I'm calling, I was referred to you by Felicia, and I was just shopping for rates. Can you help me with that? And what I really want to stress is talk about what they want to talk about, right? And what do they want to talk about? What's the most important thing that they are trying to achieve by this? The most important thing that they're trying to achieve is to get a home. So the best part, in my opinion, to start talking about is the home. So it's basically something like this. Felicia is awesome. She's truly one of the best. And how did you get to know Felicia? How did you connect with Felicia? So start to get them engaged, start to get them talking about what they want to talk about. Have you seen any homes yet? Have you found a home that you'd like? What's the particular thing about that home that you like? Start talking about that home before you get into the mortgage. And I think that if you can start with the home, which is what they really want, and then they will engage. That's what they want to talk about. One of the best books that I think should be an absolute read, and I'm sure a lot of people on this call have done this, is my favorite book. It was Launch My Career, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And the premise that he has is essentially ask questions and let them talk about themselves. Their most important subject, their favorite subject is themselves. So if you can get them talking by asking questions, particularly about what they want, that will engage them and you can start that conversation. Now, when you get to the mortgage piece, this is essentially our script in regards to how we deal with a shopper coming in, saying, I'm shopping a couple of different lenders. And it goes like this. We truly appreciate the opportunity to help. Nobody really wants a mortgage. Our whole goal is to assist you in getting you into your new home, which is the most important investment that you'll make. And how do we do that? We do it in 3 ways. 1, we educate. 2, we communicate. And 3, we execute. We know that the education is key. We want to make sure that you know what type of mortgage product you're getting into. Number two, one of the biggest issues in our industry is communication. So we want to make sure that you're up to speed on every part of the loan process, every step of the way. And number three, execute. We want to make sure that you get into the home on time so that you can enjoy it, which is the most important piece of this. Now, let's start talking about how do you shop for a mortgage, and then blah, blah, blah. And then there's scripts for that as well. But you can, that's really just trying to engage them, let them know that you're building that rapport and that they're friends. We want them to know, like, and trust us. And then after that particular kind of sequence, Dave, what we then go through is a video series. And we believe that this is super important because most people are engaged on the phone, and that's the only thing that they have. If you can get a Zoom meeting, great. Some people, some consumers, they don't have the technology to do it. Some don't want to get on it. They have their hair all messed up. They're in a bathrobe, you never know. So, but that doesn't stop us from building that connection with them on a personal level by using video. So I'm going to put a link into the chat, Dave, that has all of this in there. There's a whole series of videos that we have that goes in there. But the first video that I want to talk about is a personal co-video. We use co-video, which is a text. Dave, just use a simple text, video it on your phone and then send it that way. But the first one that I want to show you is a video after the follow-up. So I'm going to play this right here, and then you can kind of see what we got here.
Really fired up to see it, guys. Put any questions you have down below. I know I'm going to be interviewing Bill again sometime in the next couple weeks to go through his process in more details. Let's check it out.
Okay, so Dave, here's the video that we're going to do as a follow-up.
Hey Megan, Bill Gaylord here with the Gaylord Hansen team. It was great meeting you over the phone. Just want to put a face with a name. I'm so excited for your home ownership journey. You're in such great hands with Felicia, and the neighborhood you're looking at sounds amazing. So best of luck to you on your journey. If you have any questions whatsoever, let me know. We'll get started on your pre-approval letter just as soon as possible.
So that is just a simple video, Dave, and it's
a great day, and we'll talk soon.
I love that, Bill. Did Bill freeze up, Todd, or is it just me?
Other videos.
It looks like he froze up for a minute there.
Oh, you're back, Bill. You froze up for just a minute. Remember, folks, he's going to give us links to these videos, so you're going to see them in more detail. And I'm also going to do a follow-up interview with Bill because he's just got so many great ideas to share. And every one of his videos is simple, but super powerful. What else do you have to share, Bill, before we bring Jeremy on stage?
Yeah, so I'll share one more video that we have, Dave. But we do a series. The link will have all the various videos that we have. I'm going to show you just our introduction video that comes from after we get into contract. And
Elizabeth Rose just asked, he's using co-video.
Everyone, happy Friday. Allie Lepke with the Gaylord Hansen Mortgage Team at Loan Depot with your first Friday status update for the purchase of 207 Santa Clara Place. You will
I think we lost that. It's not coming through, Bill.
You might want to stop sharing and then reshare, Bill. Make sure you click the two buttons in the bottom so that it's leveraging everybody's computers. And guys, if we're not able to play these now, we will get you links to them. And remember, I'm going to be interviewing Bill again soon. He uses co-video, Lisa. All right, Bill, are you still with us? Todd, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Dave, and we see Bill's blank screen. We lost him. So
All right.
That just tells me we'll get all his stuff, and that tells us we get to bring up the rock star himself, none other than Jeremy Forcier, J-Force, the man of the hour. How you doing, Jeremy?
Excellent.
Love that. So guys, Jeremy Forcier and his team closed 542 loans last year for 257 million. And he also manages a very large region. Did you guys hit 2 billion as a region last year, Jeremy?
That would be a negative, sir.
Almost 2 billion, over 1.5.
Optimist says yes if you round way up, but a few $100 million away, yes.
All right. So guys, and he is a rock star in the mortgage coach community. He's always in the top 10, usually in the top 3 most watched videos in the mortgage coach community. I asked everybody, hey, what do you want to talk about? What do you think the market needs to hear? What do you think is important to today's market? And Jeremy, what script do you want to cover? And what do you think is important to today's loan officers?
Well, what I think is important, number one, is to really learn to just be you and be confident. And I'm going to specifically talk about real estate agents as well and working with them, not only moving forward, but just from experiences in the past here in COVID and what changes that I've made in my business to work more closely with them, specifically in prospecting new relationships. Let's talk about confidence first. I had a site visit yesterday where I had a number of loan officers come in and shadow me and go through processes. Half of them were on Zoom, half of them were in my office. And the one thing that kept coming to surface was a lack of confidence. Now, no one said that, but that's what I felt constantly from them when we were speaking about their processes, their systems, their team, prospecting, is that there was just really a lack of confidence. And I think that, and I hate using the word I think, I'm trying to eliminate that. I believe that because of COVID and because that it was so easy the last year to get loans, to do loans, and the opportunity was so high that a lot of us lost a little bit of our confidence now in moving forward, getting back into knowing how to connect with people and build relationships and figure out who you want to work with and who you don't want to work with. And that's critical. I mean, it's really important. So number one is like having some confidence in yourself, remembering that you are the expert and that you're there to educate and make it easy for people. So that's what I'm going to segue to with realtor scripts and prospecting new realtors. So in COVID, I landed 7 new, what I call A accounts. Okay, A. So I classify my realtor accounts into A, B, and C. A would be someone who I do more than 5 transactions with per year. Now, to some of you, you might be like, oh, that's weak. I get it. Every market's different. In my market, no one does a lot of transactions just because of the loan amount sizes. If you have a realtor that's doing 24 transactions a year, that's a top producer in my market, okay? So I landed 7 new A realtors in COVID, and I haven't met any of them, okay? So I've met none of them in person. It was 100% by phone, via Zoom, and just by making a good connection. And here's how it goes. Is that if you want to work with great agents and you want to connect with them, especially in times like this, what you need to do is just tell them you want to work with them. Now, I know that sounds really simple, but that is exactly where I start, right? Hey, it's Jeremy Forcier with Cross Country Mortgage. Rosa, I was referred to you by Jackie. I'll get to that in a moment to give you context. Jackie had like lots of great things to say about you. She said she's known you for a few years, and I'm only looking to work with great people in my career moving forward. And I would love to just chat with you about your business and see if maybe we could form some type of relationship or I could be of service. So that has been my go-to script when I'm cold calling. And I want you to notice what I did is I used an individual. This was a client in this example. And I asked the client for 2 or 3 names of great real estate agents that she knows. Okay, so an easy way to get turn a cold reach out call into a warmer call is to ask people, your friends, your family, your past clients, your current clients, hey, do you have 2 or 3 real estate agents that you know and like that you could give me their name? I would love to connect with them, and I'm looking to connect with people just like you. So usually you're going to refer me the type of people I'd like to connect with. they will always give you a name or two, always. And then you get to use that name with the individual, reference how they know each other, and they will take that call. So Dave, why will they take that call?
I don't know. Why will they take that call?
Well, come on, man. A realtor wants to get paid and they don't want to upset their past clients or their friends or family. Okay. So if I called Dave and you were a realtor and I was like, hey, your buddy Todd Bookspan said I should call you, that you're the man, you're not going to go, oh, I'm not going to call that guy back, or I'm not going to talk to that guy. You have to use the triangle of trust, you guys. Okay, which is what we're doing there, is that we're using trust that's already built amongst a different relationship that has nothing to do with you. There's two sides built, and you want to come in and be the bottom of that triangle, right? So it's a very easy way, and this is a question I get a lot, is how do you just cold call? How do you just get realtors to meet with you or engage with you? Well, make a cold call a warm call, right? And reference that person and then move forward with building that relationship. Now, people ask me whenever you're in, and when I say people, realtors specifically at the beginning of a new relationship will ask this question all the time. So Todd, why should I work with you? Like, it's a very common question, right? And I see so many loan officers completely thrown off by it, and they're scrambling in their head to try to figure out their unique selling proposition in 8 seconds because they haven't thought about it, right? So you have to know that they're going to ask that question so you can be prepared for that question. My answer is pretty simple, and it's two things. When someone asks me, why should I work with you, or what makes you different? My answer is always, it's very simple. I want to make the process as easy as possible on all parties in the transaction and make sure that good people get great advice. And I also stand for a few different things. So I like to use free because I believe in the freedom of home ownership as an acronym. So F for me stands for fun. If we can't have any type of fun during the transaction, or we can't make the process enjoyable for someone, I'm really not interested in it, and I'm not doing a good job. The R stands for relationships, to make sure that relationships always go first, and that I make sure we're building a relationship with each other as well as with the client, so that will once again create a simple and smooth transaction. The E stands for elevate. I really think that we need to elevate all people around us, and especially our customers, so that they're empowered to make great decisions, especially when it comes to finances. And the final E is excellence. I still want to have fun. I want to be in a relationship. I want to elevate others, but I'm always committed to excellence in the execution, and that's where great communication comes into play.
Boom. And guys, one of the all-time most viewed videos in the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel is Jeremy Forcier's 5 questions that he asks every realtor. And you notice how it always, when he does those 5 questions, it always ends with communication, communication, communication. And when he just did his value prop, why me? It ended with communication, communication, communication. I do also want to remind everybody, Jeremy Forcier is one of the top mortgage coaches in the, out of the 13,000 plus loan officers using Mortgage Coach. He's created 7,049 TCAs, 117 over the past 30 days. There's only one person on this stage whose team has done more. I always say that just to have a little fun with Jeremy. Cody Touche has created a few.
Cody. How do I beat Cody, that guy?
I know, man. We gotta get Jeremy beating him. But Jeremy, do that whole communication real quick before, because I think it's so important that people understand how you add value. When it lands on communication, put a little meat on the bone in terms of how you describe that to a realtor.
Well, I'll give you an example from yesterday. Okay, so yesterday I presented to a group of about 25 realtors via Zoom, and I talked about how telling people things that they don't want to hear is the most important thing that you can do. Okay, so I started it with like this. Hey, I'm going to say something right now that I don't want anyone to be irritated with, and I want you to hear me out. Okay, that's how I started it. So I'm framing it correctly. I said, some people that you refer me or that you're working with 100% should not buy a house, even if technically they could get a loan. And something that's super important to me is giving people great advice. So there's been a number of times over the last couple weeks where an individual has come to me and they don't really have any money down. They want to look at a down payment assistance loan. Their rent is currently $800 a month, and it looks like they want to qualify for a $2,100 a month mortgage. They have no savings and they have debt. The conversation that I'm having with those clients is that maybe you should really think about saving $1,500 a month, which is the difference between what your mortgage payment is going to be and what your current rent is, so that you can feel like what your actual mortgage is going to be. I don't ever want to put someone in a situation where they are going to get into a house and that they regret it instantly because they don't really understand the gravity of responsible home ownership. So those are conversations that I do have with clients. And I just want to remind you all, Remax team, is that having those honest conversations and being really transparent and showing that you care did not result in an angry client in any of these people over the last week. What it resulted was in thanks. They had extreme gratitude, and 2 of the 3 referred me other people, right, to work with. So we have to focus on truth, we have to focus on responsibility, and we have to focus on putting these people on a path, because no might not mean no forever. It just means not right now. So that was the presentation I gave yesterday, right? In the mortgage minute. It was like 3 minutes that I had to talk. I got crazy good feedback. I got 3 referrals from a new agent who I haven't worked with before, who was on the call. So I think sometimes, and this ties back into what I started with, having just the confidence and honesty to be calm and say what is real. So that's a great example of communication. Communicating to someone that, like, I don't think this person is ready. I'm nervous about this situation for them. Just because you can get someone a loan doesn't mean they should have a loan. Anyone can go lease a BMW right now today, right? Anyone can buy a house if it's approved eligible, but is that really right? Have you done the due diligence to make sure that it's a good move for them and looked at all of their information? So I think that sometimes just being confident and having honest conversations and communicating that clearly as to where you're coming from here in your heart rather than here in your pocketbook can make a huge difference with your referral partners.
Love that. So one last question, and let's try to net it out in 2 minutes so we can get Jimmy on stage, is because you've done so many total cost analysis and you do position it as something at value with a real estate agent, I would love to just hear some quick scripting on how you would describe a TCA to a real estate agent.
Yeah, so it's real simple. I'll just use Rosa as an example from yesterday. So she is one of my newer, awesome accounts who I've never met. We're on our 2nd transaction right now. She's referred me 4 people in the last couple months. And this is how I positioned it with her. And I'll read you her response, by the way, in her email from yesterday that I included her on. So number 1, include your realtors on all the pre-approved and purchased TCAs. Always include them on it. And this is how I set the stage. So, hey, Rosa, I'm going to send Kayla an updated link that's going to have a video. So when you click on the link, it's going to be a full-blown presentation of the offer that you 2 are going to make together with different options outlining interest rate, cost structures, and down payments. I'm going to walk her through it so you can see as well exactly what I'm telling the client. And then that way, if she has any questions, not only are you privy to what's going on, but you can watch it and be in the know as well. And that way we can work together to make sure she's 100% comfortable with what's going on. So that's how I position it. I tell her that I include her on every single one. And then by the way, when the agent clicks on the link, which they do, and they watch it, the first thing I'm doing is honoring the referral source, always. Right? Just like Bill Gaylord did, that was, takeaway for me in his quick video, he was honoring Felicia. I'm assuming that was the realtor, right? That was helping out that client that he made the video for. So you start your video with like, hey, honored to help you. Here's what I'm going to do is walk you through this. You're so lucky to be working with Rosa. She is a class act. We're going to make sure that we take great care of you together. And then you go into your presentation. So that's how I'm using, that's how I explain the total cost analysis and the video link that I send. We include them on it every single time, and it just creates, once again, super solid communication between all parties.
I love that. I love how you use Mortgage Coach to deliver value to families and how you use it to save time for agents. Any final thoughts, Jeremy, for the audience?
Yeah, man, no one be scared. The sky is not falling. Don't be the Chicken Little. Go get it, man. Everyone wants to buy still. There's always going to be home loans to do. I'm doing a refi right now for someone who called me yesterday that had 5%. I don't know how they made it through the last year without refinancing, but there are opportunities out there. So just look at where you can help people. Make sure that you're being very clear with everyone that you talk to, that you would like to work with more people just like them. And only if you like them, by the way. Don't ever ask for referrals from people you don't like working with, because you will get more people you don't like working with. But just ask for some referrals. Keep it super simple. And I think that this year is going to be just as good as last year.
Well, Jeremy, don't leave quite yet. I'm going to do our commercial for the Modern Mortgage Summit 1 year pass. I have one more question for you after that plays, and then we're going to bring on our next special guest. So here is a commercial. We did this Modern Mortgage Summit. We had almost 10,000 people buy tickets. 6,000 viewed it. And if you want to get a pass to this, you can sign up for it. So here's a quick commercial on it.
If you're in the mortgage industry, there is no doubt that all of us are experiencing a little bit of momentum heading into 2021.
But the whole point is to keep evolving, to grow, to elevate our game.
One of the things that I'm doing to fuel that momentum with my branch, with me personally, is I have the 365 plan from the Modern Mortgage Summit.
I can't tell you how excited I am for the Modern Mortgage Summit to be available 365 days a year.
We have access to some of the top producing loan officers nationwide, 365 days a year.
Tons of notes, great ideas, and I thought, oh, how am I going to implement all of these ideas? Well, I'm not. I'm going to take it all in bite sizes.
Knowledge is power. But I actually think the implementation of knowledge is power.
Committing to doing this is plugging in once a week and listening to all of those keynotes and those 5-minute educational series. There's so much value in there.
5 minutes were packed with such incredible knowledge, skills, and tactics.
One of those things that you could watch probably 100 times and take away 100 different things each time.
I can grow and I can learn and I can up-level my skills.
And put your knowledge into implementation and make this year the best year yet.
Incredibly thankful to Todd and Dave for giving us this opportunity to have access to this year round.
That if you simply just bought the $100 pass, signed up for another year to really absorb these lessons, this knowledge, and take action one by one, I'm telling you, your year would be totally different. So that's what I'm doing. Spend the $100, buy the 365-day access pass.
It's going to be one of the best coaching things you can have in your arsenal, and something that you can work to get better at every day, which I know we can all get better.
Take in these lessons one by one and take action. Don't miss the boat. Don't overthink it. Get into action.
So guys, I wanted to have Jeremy stay on because Jeremy did one of the keynotes. And when I asked Jeremy, hey, you're going to be one of the keynotes for this big event, what do you want to talk about? I want you to, one, tell him what you said. And then if you have that piece of paper on your desk right now, I just want to hit home that message. So Jeremy, what was your keynote? You're on mute, buddy.
You guys couldn't read my. I thought I was so loud and powerful.
I could read your
just
lips.
Talk through the mute. You know what I wanted to talk about was the 3 pieces of bad advice that I was given in my career, and how it was not true, and why great advice is so critical, right? And who you listen to and what you believe in is so critical. So, my mantra is I want to, impact and improve the lives of as many people as possible through responsible homeownership, and that good people always deserve great advice. And that comes from my first 7 years in this industry of really receiving horrible advice on how to run my business. I mean, I could go on and on, personal life, business life, all of it. And I was just always very impressionable my whole life and would believe everyone, which is a bad and good thing. I'm a very trusting person. And I had to learn that sometimes, you know, things aren't right. People will take advantage. People will try to hold you down. People won't elevate you and want to champion you. And I would avoid those things. So I just talked about the premise of how important it is, you know, to get and give great advice. And I think that that trumps everything always. The advice that we give is what will shape our career. And so let's just make sure that we're giving great advice.
Well, dude, you are such a massive gift to the mortgage coach community. If you want to hear that keynote, there's a link down below. Sign up for the 1-year pass. And we recommend that you just listen to one video a week. There's over 50 videos. So it's a fire hose of content. But if you just watched one per week, you'd be better and you'd become a modern mortgage professional. Jeremy Forcier, thank you, brother.
Hey, you know, I appreciate you guys. I saw there was a question on like, do I walk people through the whole TCA? The answer is yes. It literally only takes 1 minute to do. It's not difficult. I know you got to hop someone else on here. I'm happy to share.
No, you're good. If you can stay on, I was trying to honor your
I know, I appreciate it. I mean, I can be late for 1 minute to my next Zoom call. It's no big deal. So I just want to share my screen real quick, just so if you're watching this, you can understand how easy this is. Okay, so this is the total cost analysis, right? And if I was doing this and creating a video, I can't record a video right now because I'm on video with you, but there would be a little thing down here, and I already have a video on it, but where you would click record. And this is what it sounds like. I'm just going to do it for you, okay? So I click record and I say, hey, Ethan, it's Jeremy Forcier with Cross Country Mortgage. It was great chatting with you a few minutes ago, and I'm super stoked that you're working with Martine and that Martine is going to write an offer for you. She's one of the best, and we really look forward to serving you. So I'm going to walk you through in this presentation 3 different loan options where interest rates are trading right now, and then talk about next steps and strategy. So in the first column, in the summary section, I'm showing you a 30-year fixed rate mortgage at a $1.65 million purchase price and an $800,000 loan amount at 3.375% interest rate on a 30-year fixed rate loan. There, your monthly payment, including principal, interest, taxes, insurance, everything, is approximately $5,335.52, and your total cash to close, which is your down payment, plus all the closing costs for title, escrow, appraisal, all the third-party stuff, the collection of 4 months of taxes up front to set up your impound account. If you have more questions about that, let me know. Everything, total out of pocket at $867,662. Now in the second column, I showed you a 3.25% interest rate option. There your payment would be $52.80.40. Cash to close goes up to $876.22. And then in the third and final column, a 2.99% interest rate option, payments $51.67.27. Cash to close at $876.398. So if you have any questions whatsoever, let me know. I'm happy to schedule an appointment or answer them via email. When we really look forward to serving you. Have a great day. That's it.
Boom.
Super simple. So to answer your question, people ask me all the time, Dave, what do you say on your videos? I'm like, I just read what's in front of me. I mean, the mortgage coach does all the work for you, just so everyone is clear on that. It's nothing special actually about me. I literally read the information to them and I encourage questions. So if you know I didn't say this one costs 0 points, this one costs 0.76 points, and this one costs 1.314 in points, I want them to ask me those questions. It is not a waste of time, okay, to get better questions from people on where they should make a good decision. So that's how I leverage Mortgage Coach Edge. That's how I leverage the videos, and I just walk them through literally what's on the screen every single time.
And a reminder to everybody, by doing this, it also saves you time. People are going to ask less. Just call it, there's questions that build relationship, connection, and conversion. And then there are questions that hurt conversion, waste everybody's time. And Mortgage Coach keeps the value questions alive, but reduces the waste of time and cost you deal questions. So Jeremy,
well, I love you guys. I got to go.
Take care, brother.
Yeah.
Good seeing you, my friend.
So guys, we're going to have a lot of micro content come out of this. I can already tell Jeremy's scripting with Realtors is going to have to be like a little 3-minute video. So while we will promote that, like when we come out with micro content at Mortgage Coach from Script-a-palooza, we'll let you know. If you want to be in my, call it Dave Savage Insights mobile club, I just put a link. I just put the number. You can text 949-799-0837. And I put a link down below with the phone number. If you text that number, you'll be in a club where I give alerts. I always update on what I think are some of the best interviews I do, some of the best micro content that we create. I did a reminder for this event. And so check it out. Todd, anything you want to say as a debrief to Jeremy before we bring Jimmy on stage?
But yeah, now I got to throw up my, my Win by Noon text club. So I'll throw that up in a second once I'm done talking, since I don't want to multitask. I'd love to have you all in there as well. I think that, Jeremy started off saying, be you and be confident. And one of the things that I'm marveled with Jeremy today versus Jeremy, even a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, he's much more calm and patient as he talks, right? Think about that. I talk really fast all the time, and Jeremy is very calm and patient. And people are marveled by what he says, but he just keeps it simple. And I just think it's one of those things, I said it earlier today, right? Listen to what he says, write it down. We'll have the transcript available later on the YouTube channel. And then use it yourself. And then eventually you'll customize it to be you, right? You're going to memorize it, customize it, then you internalize it, and you'll use it over and over. But Jeremy doesn't overthink it where most of us do. And that's why he's so successful. And that's all I would say is just do what he says and then own it for you. And then you'll be just as confident going forward as he is. And then when he comes to the TCA video, he just said, I just read what's there. And then he leaves some openings. He didn't get overly technical. He said, hey, the property tax impounds. Hey, if you have more questions, ask me that later. And then he just went on. He didn't overdo it, where a lot of you take 6 minutes because you're going through every detail and confusing the client, where you're much better off giving the overview like he did on the TCA, and then getting them to call you with whatever the specific questions are they have after reading it.
Really, really well said, Todd. And Jeremy, I've interviewed him so many times and he does such a great job. We actually have a playlist called the Jeremy Forcier playlist. So for all you new loan officers that are like, oh, I want to hear more from that guy, there is a playlist in our YouTube channel. So guys, it is time to bring on stage a new rock star in the mortgage coach community. I interviewed Jimmy for the first time last year and he killed it. He is a great representation of the next gen loan officer. Let's welcome Jimmy Weber to the stage. What's up, Jimmy?
Not much, Dave. Thanks for having me, man. Really appreciate it. Humble.
It's good to have you, dude. Hey, you're such a great role model for next gen originators coming to us live out of Chicago. Jimmy and his team did 316 loans last year for 141 million. Great job, brother. So like I said, everybody, I said, hey, what script do you want to talk about? And so Jimmy, what is it that you want to share with everybody?
So my message pertains to the two-step refi process, which is more or less, the cash out into the rate term 5 to 6 months down the road, and how that all builds together with the trust that you build with your client from that very first phone call.
So let's walk us through it, share it, and remember, community, keep asking questions. Tell us what you like, and we'll make this as collaborative as we can. So what's it sound like?
So many of my referrals are from financial advisors. Dave, we've talked about that. A lot of what Alex talked about earlier too, with freeing up more cash flow for the advisors to then use with their overall book of business. So what I push towards my clients is, maybe post that initial credit pull, is taking a look at the whole credit report. Rather than just inquiring about a rate term refi to me directly, let's take a look at everything, paying off some debt, freeing up some monthly cash flow to make sure that your net worth, which I love the net worth TCA last summary chart, looks a little bit better in 10 to 15 years, rather than just doing a rate term refi and holding on to that credit card with the 22% interest rate.
Love it. And I know you're using the total cost analysis to help present some of those options. Have you used our new debt consol feature yet?
Yeah, the debt consolidation is awesome. It's really cool showing the people that not just, through my words, that I can back it up with the TCA, showing them just so much more over the next 5, 10, 15 years, however you do use Mortgage Coach to really bring that to life.
Well, I know I'm going to want to get a script for what it sounds like when you call a financial advisor to try to get a meeting, but anything else you want to share around that part of the script?
Well, again, I think it does pertain to the trust that you build from day one. Like I've told you before, I came to the business as a call center guy. I was taking calls on low margin and really just selling interest rate. So I had to evolve getting away from that and moving into more of a position where I am building that trust from the very first phone call. Whether it's to a financial advisor, to one of their clients, or another referral, I'm making sure that it's a much more broader phone call. I'm not just getting their interest rate and their payment currently, but I'm asking about their home, their children. What does it take for you to send your kids to college and be debt free in, let's say, 10 to 15 years, and building that into the whole entire loan process.
Love that. So what does it sound like when you call? Like, I want to hear your value prop to a planner, to an advisor, how you position yourself when you call to get a meeting. What does that sound like?
It's actually quite similar to Alex prior. What I'm trying to do is that we build better relationships together. And it's very similar to a realtor call as well. We're providing each other with the same value by moving forward and progressing in that way. We're not just, I'm not just calling and begging for business, because if that's the way that you're doing things, it's really not always going to be very beneficial for all parties.
So what does it sound like though when you call a financial advisor? Like, hi, I'm Jimmy. Do you call yourself a loan officer? How do you position yourself? What are some of the first questions you ask? What does that sound like?
Yeah, I'm usually asking them, what they specialize in. Do they have many more clients in need of mortgages? One advisor that I work with, who is probably my main referral partner and awesome, she sends me every single client that she meets with. So I kind of build that into my pitch because I've built my confidence with her to other clients. I want to be on your list. If you're sitting down with a client, I want to be the guy that goes into war with you, to bat with your client, to improve that overall situation.
Love it. So Todd, any takeaways, anything you want to shine a light on? Any questions you have for Jimmy?
Well, I think the takeaways, you've had multiple people today talk about the fact that they work with financial advisors. So think about that as we're in a changing market where you're going from refinances and you're looking for what else am I going to do, right? We had people talk about their scripts with Realtors, which is super important, but think about this other channel and how you would do it. So what would you encourage people, Jimmy, who are scared? Like what's the first step for them to start looking out for financial advisors that they might reach out to?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's just like calling realtors, like day one stuff. Sometimes you got to just kind of swallow the pride and dial, get on the phone. So what I like to do is try and map out the conversation a little bit before I get on the phone with the advisor, and just make it happen. Do what I can to ensure that I'm sounding confident and that I sound like I'm someone that, does a lot of loans, will take care of their clients and continue to take care of their clients in the future.
Love it. So, right, just you being you and keeping it simple. And I think, again,
authentic, exactly.
You.
That's it.
So Jimmy, you're killing it. It's great to have you as a leader in the mortgage coach community. I can't wait to interview you again. Any final thoughts for everyone as before we bring on our next rock star?
I'd like to reiterate what Jeremy said about keeping your head down and with these interest rates, and keep working. I had someone yesterday call me out of the blue with a 5.25. And again, it's like, I don't know how you didn't refi, but let's do it. So the opportunities are out there. The advice are out there. Just keep doing what you're doing and make it happen.
Right on, brother. Well, thank you for jumping on stage, making time. Guys, we still have, I think, 4 or 5 more speakers. We're going to be bringing Jay Kroll on stage in just a minute. One of the things that distinguishes Jay is out of all the speakers, they all have teams to do the kind of volume. They've all done over 100 million. But there was only 3 where their average production per team member was over 200 loans. So Jay was one of them, Shant was one of them, and Amber Kovark. All, when you look at the number of team members they had, they're averaging over 200 loans per team member, which is incredible. Todd, anything else you want to say? Maybe reset the room, and then we'll bring our next guest on.
Yeah, let's just reset. If you're just joining us, this is the 4th annual Script-a-palooza, brought to you by Mortgage Coach and Win by Noon. And when Dave and I first did this, we didn't know how it was going to go. We brought America's best scripted loan officers on for 2 hours, and now you'll see it's grown now to over 2 hours. And just a great event that we like to bring to you, to our community. And so we're grateful for all of you for being here. We're grateful for all of the speakers. And, ultimately, as we kind of move through the rest of these, you'll be able to get the recording of this later, and you'll also be able to get the transcript of what everyone said. And then people will be putting their links to their total cost analysis in there as well. So just know that whatever you hear on here, reach out to Dave or myself. We'll make sure that we give you the right directions to get there and see it. And just know that, we're here to add value to you, and we are very excited for the next 4 closers we have, which will be anchored by Shayla Gifford. So I know it's going to be really, really good.
All right, guys. Script-a-palooza 2021 is going amazing. It's time to bring Jay Kroll on stage. Jay is coming to us live out of Seattle, Washington. Him and his team closed over 600 loans last year for $321 million in production. And one of the things that distinguishes him is he's one of the few people we have on stage, one of the few people I know that is averaging over 200 loans per team member. So Jay, I don't know if you realize just how efficient you are, but you are among the most efficient teams in America.
Well, we really work hard towards that and try to run a efficient, profitable operation.
Well, the other thing I think that's unique is that you make sure that every family gets a total cost analysis so that they're getting a high advice experience. And I love the way when I said, hey, what do you want to talk about? I love how you talk, hey, I'm values-based. I think it's important that people know how much we care. And I love the fact that you want to talk about leadership when things go wrong, which they do go wrong, how a loan officer should show up, what are some talking points they should consider. So let's get started. I know you have some things you want to share with everyone, how you show how much you care to families.
Yeah, well, I think that caring for people is the central part of what we do. And I think, no matter what, this is obviously about scripts and words. And when I hear that, I think it doesn't matter what you say, because people don't care what you have to say or care about what you know until they know how much you care, right? And Zig Ziglar told us that, if you help enough people get what they want, you will be able to get what you want. So I think for me and, our business, we really try to have a long-term approach, bring value to our clients. And that starts with operating with values of, really focusing on the needs of the consumer and the client and putting those above ours. We talked about the idea of scripting, and I think it's really important to have a playbook of what things you need to cover with a client every time you are in the process of doing a loan from start to finish. I'm not really into scripts specifically, but I want to know my talking points and making sure that blueprint hits. The idea of today, what I wanted to touch base about, coming off a season of, record volume for our industry, record volume for loan officers, and that as I kind of look from the sidelines and see, Instagram posts and different things, we're all feeling ourselves a little bit. And as we go into a new market where rates are kind of on the rise, refis are cutting out, depending on what market you're in, but most markets, inventories are low, so there's a lot of competition. And so we're going to see more price competition. And I think that it's really important to be thinking about how you're going to end well with a client that decides to go with a different lender. And I tend to see a lot of loan officers go through a really bad divorce from a client that reached out to them about home financing or got pre-approved with them and decide to go with a different, lender. And I think that people need to remember there's a sales opportunity there, because if you have a values-based long-term approach, you don't want to burn a bridge with a client or burn a bridge with a client that has a relationship with an agent that you want to maintain. So if you end that relationship poorly, that's going to reflect poorly on you and your organization. So I think it's really important to remember when a client says, I'm going with a different lender, obviously, if there's something you can do to retain the client, I would go through those steps. But when you hit that point where they're going somewhere else, I think it's important to hit on a couple things. One, thank them for their consideration. They considered you for a mortgage. That in itself is an honor to you. So remember to be grateful for that. The second thing is put in a little thing of you hope they do well. I hope everything goes well with your closing. Be respectful and treat people well. And then I think remind them that, hey, we're here for you. If anything comes up, if we can be a resource while you're in the process of buying a home, feel free to reach back to us. If you hit a snag, if they hit a snag, you want them to call you back. So put that in there, like, hey, feel free to reach. There's no burnt bridge. We'd be happy to be a resource to you in the future. And I can tell you that, that's something that we coach a lot about, in our region. And we see time and time again, people come back when you end well with that client. But if you make it ugly or rude, or you shame a client, like, oh, you put all this time in your file, I can't believe you're going somewhere else, they're not going to come back to you. And so I think there's an opportunity. I saw a lot of clients, a lot of loan officers refinance clients that they lost out on their purchase, but they maintained that client base and followed back up with them and said, hey, I know we didn't take care of your purchase, but rates have dropped to 0.5%. Can we serve you? And because they ended well before, they're willing to do that. And I saw last week a couple loan officers in our sales meeting. We talked about wins and losses. And in that meeting, some people talked about some wins of clients coming back to them. They got pre-approved with us. They got, they found a house. They wrote an offer. They decided to go with another lender. That for some reason that purchase fell apart. But because that loan officer ended well, when they went to go find another property, they came back and gave that loan officer a second shot, and we got those deals. I saw 2 of those last week. So I think it's really important to wrap up well.
What he shared is tactically important, but also think it's internally important. Like if you want to be super successful, it's about who you are. And I couldn't help. Have you ever read the book, The 4 Agreements?
It sounds really familiar.
Well, there's 2 of the 4 agreements. One is don't assume anything, and don't take anything personally. And so I think when I heard that, like if you're a loan officer that literally when you lose a transaction, you really truly wish the people well, you really truly don't take it personally, don't make assumptions at why you're losing it, understand it, like you're going to be a better, happier, more successful mortgage professional. You're going to love yourself. And when you love yourself, you end up bringing that to others. So I just think there's an internal game to be gained by being that loan officer that don't take it personally. Don't take it personally.
Yeah, I will say I hear that from loan officers that get in. When I see, I'm like, why did you go there with the client? They'll say, well, I take so much pride in my business that it's so personal to me. And I'm like, well, you're taking it too personal. Like you need to have some separation, because at the end of the day, like Steph Curry, who's the greatest 3-point shooter of all time, he misses a ton of shots. I miss a lot of clients, right? We make a lot, like we closed 600 units last year, but there's still a lot of deals that didn't go through us. Like I'm not batting 1,000, and nobody should expect that. You need to go into every week, with that stoic mindset. Like I'm going to lose some deals this week, and how am I going to stay, positive and productive through that?
Yeah, and that same mindset, while, Jay just covered some thoughts when you get to the end of the line, but if you show up like that, hey, I'm not taking it personally, I'm not making any assumptions, 2 of the 4 agreements. Now, when you are getting grinded, you're actually going to show up better. You're going to, instead of shaming, you're going to like, well, why? Ask why a couple times. One of the questions you should ask them is, oh, did they provide you with a total cost analysis? Oh, they didn't? So, but showing up with that internal game of not taking it personally, I think is so critical. So I know you've got some more ideas to share.
Yeah, I think the other one is just the idea of, and I would say this is something I see from the sidelines as an area that the industry can do better on. And I think that may come from the idea of loan officers, having either ego or insecurity. And a lot of times ego is a result of insecurity. We look at things are going to happen through files, that mistakes are going to happen. And from time to time, those mistakes are things that are our fault. And we, like Steph Curry, planning to miss shots. You need to, expect that from time to time, there's going to be a file that, a ball is dropped, because we are in the people business, right? Loan officers are people, team members are people, processors are people, underwriters are people, an appraiser is a person, the closer is a person. So, as much as we want things perfect, we also don't want full automation, because, if robots can do all those jobs, we're all out of a career. So I think that we have to understand that mistakes are going to come up. And I really believe one of the big mistakes that I see producers make is they want to blame somebody, blame their organization, blame their underwriter, blame their processor, blame somebody else, blame a team member. And at the end of the day, if you're the business owner as an originator of your personal production business, you need to own it, and you need to operate with a buck stops with you mentality. And for me, there's kind of 4 points that need to happen. When a mistake comes up, you need to own it. You need to raise your hand, my bad, and claim that. You need to apologize and to the client, apologize for that mistake. The second one is, again, take that ownership. That's something I take responsibility for. Communicate the resolution. You may need to, at some point, take a minute and just let the client tell you how that made them feel. Maybe you want to ask them that question. How does this make you feel? Get them to share their frustration. I think at that point, you have to then again go, hey, I'm sorry. That's unacceptable. This is how we're fixing it. Now, what has to happen is there has to be a point in there where the client stops the whine, because sometimes clients want to get on that carousel. All right. And you need to hear it. So you need to hear it. And maybe sometimes, depending on how, if it's made a big mistake, maybe you need to hear it twice and empathize it, make sure that, and communicate it back what you heard. But at a certain point, you also need to say, okay, I heard what you said. I've said sorry. I accept full responsibility. It's not acceptable, but it's on me. And this is how we're fixing it. And this is how we've made it right. Whether it's here's a gift card, or here's a lender credit, or, here's how we're fixing that, how we're going to make sure we close on time. But you also need to remind them that, hey, we've talked about this. Now is the time for us to put the ball in the end zone. Seattle, most people like the Seahawks. And I said, we will watch a game and we'll see the offensive line make a mistake. And Russell Wilson has a tantrum. We're all going to be frustrated at him that he didn't and get that ball in the end zone. So at this point, hey, we've talked about it. I've heard your frustration. It's valid. I accept responsibility. I apologize for that. Here's our plan again. Now let's get the ball in the end zone, because we don't have the time to waste, because, your close date's coming here next week. So I think those are, big components. My philosophy around that is, you think about friendships. Do you really want to be friends with somebody that doesn't admit when they're wrong? Do you really want to work with somebody long-term that doesn't want to take responsibility? I know, like, if my financial planner made a mistake and he blamed somebody else, we wouldn't have a relationship. And my wife and I love to travel. And, our favorite hotel resort chain across the world is a place that on the first time we went there, we had a terrible experience. And it was awful the first couple nights, but they acknowledged it. They fixed it. They did a bunch to make it right. And if anytime we travel somewhere, if that resort is in the place that we are going, we will always try to stay there. That's our goal. And so, and it started off with a mistake. And I can tell you, I laughed so many times in 2020 when we were closing a loan for a client that I remember from my first year or two in the industry, that I botched their first deal. I made it, but every single client, I followed that script. I took responsibility. I apologized, and, we made it right. We fixed it. Whether I did the loan for free or we gave a big credit, always about the long-term approach. And I think, that's come back, tenfold by having that mindset. So when I think about the scripts of today, I think that we need to, focus on our humility, and we also need to focus on our gratitude and expressing that, often to the clients that we get to serve.
So I love this. And I am going to ask you for one more 1-minute script in just a second here. I can't help, I know you haven't read the book, or maybe you don't remember it, but you just came up with another one of the 4 agreements. And that's like, don't use our words against ourselves. And so often, whether it's a grinder, it's someone leaving us, or there's a problem, we take it personally, we make assumptions, and then we use words against ourselves. Or even, and by the way, in the 4 agreements, when they talk about don't use your words against you as one of the 4 agreements, it's the words you say out loud, and it's the words you say inside. And so I think everybody, think about this, guys. We have one of America's most successful, most efficient professionals. And I said, everybody, I said, hey, what do you want to talk about? What script do you want to share? You have this stage. What do you want to share? And this is what he wanted to share. He thought it was so important with how do you lose with class? How do you solve problems as an extreme ownership leadership? That's what Jay wanted to cover. So Jay, last question, because this is the mortgage coach stage, and you are a mortgage coach grandmaster, and it is a pivot to purchase market. I do want to get just a feel for how, just a minute, no more than 2 minutes, on how do you position a purchase money TC? Like when you explain to the client, like, I'm going to put options together, I just want to hear a minute or 2 of the words that you use, because most loan officers are like, oh, I'm going to put some numbers together for you. And it's, they're describing a fee worksheet. And I want to hear, how do you describe strategies, or how do you describe options?
Yeah, I do want to just, piggyback on what you said. It is remarkable how I hear either stories of like a client that ended well somewhere else and they came to me and the client tells them like what happened. And then it's like the loan officer clearly lied to them. So I think that's another part of this process. So like when a mistake comes up, like don't give a bad excuse. It smells bad and it either they're going to catch on to that fib or it just gross. So like you don't want to be lied to. I don't want to be lied to. Like just be honest with people. And when there's a mistake, just, own it and fix it. On the purchase TCA, so our whole process is about, client understanding, focusing on addressing and identifying their needs and what they're wanting to accomplish. And so, we don't go through a total cost analysis until it's the pre-purchase consultation. At that point, we're gonna, meet, whether it's over a joint call where they have the total cost analysis in front of them, or we do it on a Zoom call where we can do it together. But really, it starts with Dave understanding their needs, so you can bring a total cost analysis that makes sense for them. Are they in a season where they're really trying to identify their purchase range? And so I would say, in that example, we have a lot of clients that are in our market kind of going, I'd like to buy at 600,000. And they're looking at houses in the 6 to 650 range, and that's what they're being listed at. But those houses are going for 800,000. So if they were looking at $400,000 houses that are bidding up to 600,000, they're not going to be happy with that house. So helping them understand, their qualifying range, and that's a big part of the pre-purchase consultation going into that. And not that we want people to get into something that they can't afford. But I think that, a lot of the online calculators are very inaccurate. So people are looking at real estate payments based off of what's on the web, and they're a lot higher than what they actually are. So it's helping people understand what the real costs are, and then helping them understand their qualifying range. And then in that, evaluating, what is the price point that's appropriate for them based off of their goals for housing, their goals for down payment, their goals for their monthly payment. And so that's going to be a big area of focus that we look at, and something that we're addressing a lot, because our market is a lot more expensive than it was a year ago. It's an appreciating market. There's very, very little inventory. And so people need to understand what's my real buying power and what do payments really look like, because I think the expectations that I hear often are, wow, that's a lot less than what I thought. And another piece that I would say, is a common one in our market, Dave, is mortgage insurance is really inexpensive. We have a lot of people in the tech community. For them to have to, sell, stocks or RSUs to have to get into 20% down payment, that's a big taxable event. And their misunderstanding, especially because of those online calculators, is mortgage insurance is expensive. And in our reality, mortgage insurance is really inexpensive, especially, considering the last 5 years. So that's another piece that we look at, when we're doing that analysis. If we've gone deep up front, we know, well, shoot, they're going to have to sell that all their down payments coming from stocks. Do they really want to take that liability on, that taxable event, when they could put less down and really have a relatively comparable payment? And so that's part of that education process when we're doing our pre-purchase consultation. But you can't do that unless you've gone deep and done your pre-approval up front, and that's our process.
And what do you call it when you give it to the family? Do you call it a total cost analysis?
Yes,
okay.
We call it a total cost analysis. If we are in a situation where a client is not sure and they're still debating on renting, then we will bring in the rent versus own, and that's a rent, RVO presentation.
So everyone, if you want to hear more about Jay's process and how he uses Mortgage Coach, because he does do some unique things. He doesn't, when he shows the programs, instead of calling it by a transactional program name, he calls them strategies. Super smart. Check it out down below. So Jay, I really appreciate you taking time to bring value to the Mortgage Coach and the Win by Noon community. You are an amazing role model for this industry. Any closing thoughts for anyone listening to this?
I think the biggest thing is we have a great opportunity. Rates are still at all-time lows, and regardless of rates being in the 2s or the 3s, I bought my first house at 7.875, and my dad was high-fiving me. He's like, "You're under 8% on a 30-year. That's amazing." So I think at the end of the day, let's be mindful. Let's be good educators, and let's make sure that in this industry that we're treating people as professionals. And a professional closes a relationship when they don't choose us well. A salesperson, a used car salesman, like I remember I didn't buy a car one time coming off a lot, and the guy was like cussing me out, like mad that I wasted his time. It's like, I'm never gonna go buy from that car dealership, and I still see that dealership from time to time. Worked with a lot of financial planners. I've pulled money from financial planners. I've met with financial planners, gone deep and didn't select them. And I haven't dealt with one financial planner that's ever like hard sold me, tried to be gross to me, give me a bad time for not selecting them, even though they spent a lot of time with me. They edified the relationship and tried to strengthen it, knowing that eventually I might come back to them. So I think it's really important to have a professional mindset when you don't get a yes from somebody.
So guys, that's what a client for life loan officer looks like, mortgage professional. Todd, who do we have next?
Oh, we've got Cody Touche next, but before we do that, I just have to say a couple things about Jay. Jay's been a friend of mine for, almost a decade, and I miss hanging out with Jay. I used to meet up with him quarterly as part of a coaching mastermind. And someone made the comment here that you are a professional, and he is. I mean, that is a great bookend to following Jeremy, because Jeremy talked about being yourself, about treating people with respect, right? Getting good people deserve good loans. And that's really what Jay talked about the whole time, and that this whole idea of not burning the bridges when someone chooses someone else, because you want to leave that door open for you to come back. And there's other people making comments about them doing loans now, refinance loans for people who left them for a purchase. And that's just really critical in life. I mean, just be a good human. That's what Jay is. That's what all of our speakers are. That's what I know you are too. But he just summed it up. He said, don't be a salesman, be a professional.
So guys, this has been amazing. And for John, who put a comment to the panelists, he said, Todd, I've learned more today than any other day in my mortgage life. And I've been doing it for 25 years. I've struggled because I moved around, but that's in the past. And anyways, he signed up for the event that we talked about. And thank you. It's loan officers like you that make this an awesome community. So thank you for that. Todd, anything else before we bring on our next speaker?
Well, you mentioned the event. So those of you who missed out on it, we've got a couple of things that we announced earlier. The Modern 365 Pass is the pass if you want to get access to the Modern Mortgage Summit that we did a few months back. You'll have 365 days of access. Just go to modernmortgagesummit.com. And then we also did announce the Modern Real Estate Summit, which is going to really be awesome. It's $99. It's going to be April 21st. It's going to be the real estate version of the Modern Mortgage Summit. And you're like, well, I'm not a realtor, Todd. Why does that matter to me? Well, it does matter to you because you're going to learn tips, tricks, scripts to work with your real estate agents, right? You're always looking for what's that thing I'm going to say to them, right? That call reluctance that we all have is because we don't know what to say. And that's going to be just packed full of superstars. We've got over 20 superstars lined up already, really the best in the real estate world. And they are going to share their ideas with you. And you can in turn turn around and share those ideas with the real estate agents, or hint, invite them along. That's just modernrealestatesummit.com. If you scroll through, you'll see inside the chat in the Zoom, or if you're watching this in YouTube, you'll see it in the YouTube channel, how to sign up for these things. Or if you're in Facebook Live, you can see it all in there. Just scroll through the comments. You'll see how to sign up for all of those.
All right, guys. So we got 3 more speakers. We're going to bring on Dan Keller after Cody, and then we're going to close out with Shayla. But for now, let's hear from Cody. So Script-a-palooza is going amazing, and now it's time for Cody Touche. So Cody Touche is coming to us live from Seattle, Washington. Cody and his team closed 588 loans last year for $240 million. Welcome to Script-a-palooza, Cody.
Thanks for having me, Dave. Appreciate being here.
Yeah, well, it's good to have you. I think this is the second, or is this the third year you've been on this stage?
Second for me.
Second. Well, I appreciate your leadership. Cody is one of the top producers at the company that he works for, and he's one of America's most successful team leaders. When I ask people for the scripts, I'm like, I said, what script are you passionate about? And what script do you think will be most valuable to the audience? And Cody picked a couple scripts. He's got about 3 different things he wants to share with us. But Cody, why don't you first start by telling why you picked these 2 scripts in like 30 seconds, and then let's get into it.
Yeah, I think it's important in this kind of now shifting market where we're going to be shifting a lot more purchase transactions. Having really great referral partners and realtor referral partners specifically is going to be key as making that shift from a high percentage of refinance business into a high percentage of purchase business.
And you said, Dave, I want to describe how I train and teach and hold my realtors accountable to positioning me and introducing people to me, right? That was one of it. Like how you get referred matters.
So we developed kind of a white paper, a one-pager that we can sit down with a real estate agent and train them on why to refer, right? I mean, because if you go in and say, hey, refer me some deals, it sounds self-serving. But I like to make sure that we explain to them why it's important for them to be able to give a solid referral to, I think, specifically one specific lender that they get to work with, so that we can help them build that relationship and that trust with that client.
Love it. And it's interesting that Shayla Gifford, I asked her, hey, what do you want to talk about? And this is the same topic. Of course, I know you're going to share something different than what Shayla did, but walk us through it. What is the script, and train, thousands of loan officers how to do it?
Well, I would never put myself necessarily in the legendary status with Shayla, but I'm happy to be on the same stage. I love her a lot. She's a mentor of mine. She was a coach for a couple semesters. So I love Shayla, and man, I can't wait to see what she has to say on this as well, because I'm swipe and adapt and make this my own as well down the road. So the thing that we like to do is like to sit down with the agent and explain to them why to refer, and specifically why to refer to us, to one lender. And what I think that it's really important that we help show them is that it does show them right away if they're driving the ship or not, right? So if they say, hey, I would like to refer you to my person, here they are, and they buck that trend and they say, no, I want to go to my credit union, or I want to go to my bank, or I've already got a lender. I think it's important for the real estate agent to know that right away, that they may not be driving the ship, right? Whereas if somebody takes that referral and they're glad for it, well, then now you've got a client that is going to listen to and act upon your advice. It shows you're an expert, right? If you say, hey, this is the person you should go to, rather than, hey, I think here's 3 names, or you could go talk to your credit union. It shows that you're the expert, you know what you're talking about, rather than not having an opinion, and or maybe not necessarily knowing which one of these people is right. It also keeps the client in their circle, right? So what happens more often than not is I will get a client referred to by one of our great agents. Things will be going great. And in a really tight purchase market, then things maybe aren't going so great. And now they've made 3 or 4 offers and they haven't got that accepted. And they start to grumble to me about their real estate agent a little bit. Right? That's an opportunity for me to go back to the real estate agent and go to the client and say, boy, that doesn't sound like so-and-so, right? I know Jane's a great real estate agent and there must be something else going on. Or you said she's not super available. Let's talk more about that, right? We can dive in because we've got a partnership. If they let that client go wherever they'd like to go for a lender, guess what's going to happen on the other side of that equation? Right? That client's going to come to that lender and say, Jane's not really getting back to me when she said she would get back to me. That lender, like any good lender, is going to say, well, hey, I don't really know Jane, but you should talk to Jesse. Jesse's a really great agent. I've worked with him for 10 years, blah, 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 right? So they're going to possibly lose that transaction because they didn't take the reins of the horse and actually drive that referral to a partner, to somebody that they know and trust that's actually going to come back to them if something starts to go awry. Then also in our neck of the woods, there's a couple of credit unions and a couple of banks that have affiliate realtor relationships too. So if that client just hops into their credit union and they go get applied, they're going to get a discounted offer to work with a buyer's agent that works with that bank or that credit union. So they're going to possibly lose that client also to the bank or credit union, their preferred partner. I have got a good anecdotal evidence of this, and I've heard this a few times. So Shayla, I apologize if I steal your thunder, but the idea is if somebody's coming to my town, they're coming to Seattle and they want to go to the best sushi restaurant in town, I don't want to list off sushi restaurants, right? I'm not Yelp. I'm not Google, right? I want to give them a place that they can go and have a really great experience, right? A one-of-a-kind experience. So I'm going to tell them to go to Wataru on 65th in Roosevelt because that guy was trained by Shiro in Japan, right? It's a one-of-a-kind omakase experience. And the last time I went there, I had to book out about 6 months. Right? So I've got a really key place that I want them to go to, and I'm not giving them choices. Now, if they want to pick something else, that's okay, but I'm giving them my recommendation, the one place to go.
For the audience, realized that I picked 13 amazing producers and I let them pick their own scripts. And 2 amazing leaders said, hey, this is a really important script. So what is it that you want realtors to say to your clients? I've interviewed Jeremy Forcier several times, and he's got like an email like, hey, realtor, I want you to use this email to introduce me. And he always talks how like, and I have to remind him all the time. So like, just realize they're not always going to do it, but you always have to remind them. Do you have a script that you want your realtors to use? And if so, give us as much of that as you're willing to.
You bet. And I will 100% tell you that I stole this from Jeremy, right? I went to a site visit at his office, and he told me that he actually goes to the office of the real estate agent and types in their inbox into their signatures a how to refer Jeremy script, right? And I love that, and I've stole it. I've typed it into a few of our agent partners' emails as well. So the key thing there is I want them to have a verbal conversation, speak highly of us, knowing that we're going to speak highly of them when we get in touch with that consumer. Again, that edification process is really important. I'm going to reinforce their choice of a real estate agent, and I want that real estate agent to reinforce their choice of working with me. I give them some scripts. I give them some things that we are good at, right? We're friendly, we're experienced, we're available, we're honest, we're timely, we're experts in our field. Our personal team was one of the top 100 lending teams in the nation for the last couple of years running. Our company I work for has been the #1 lender in our state for the last 3 years running, right? Those are things that are specific to me. As a loan officer out there, pick the things that are great about you and your company that your realtors can relay to the customer. Because if you don't give it to them, they may not know it, right? So I think that's really important. Then I tell them, so have that great initial verbal conversation, and then send us an email introduction connecting everybody. Names, email addresses, phone numbers, mine and theirs, the new customer, and then a brief recap of their goals that they already know. Right? Now, if you met this person at an open house and you don't know much about them, it's going to be really brief. But if it's a long-time customer or somebody that they've had a really good buyer's appointment already with, then they have kind of an idea of what they're looking for. The more information we have, the easier it is to build rapport right away. So I just ask for a little bit of that information up front. And then I tell them, it's really important, follow up the next day, right? Follow up the next day with your referral, make sure they got a hold of us, ask them how it went. Our promise is also once we do get in touch with that customer, we're going to give the referring agent a call right away to let them know how it went from our side. But we always want that feedback and find out exactly what the buyer thought of it after the appointment as well.
Well, Cody, I want to get a couple more scripts from you. So one ask, and I'm going to try to get this from Jeremy too. He has shared it before, his email that like, this is what I want realtors to send. Will you be willing to give me an example of an email that I can make available to everybody?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so we'll show that later on, guys. You'll see a sample of one of Cody's emails. We'll try to get one from Jeremy too. So let's do another script, because I know when I talked about, hey, pivot to purchase, you're like, I want to make sure the referrals come in quality, thoughtfully, and in a way that I can build credibility quickly. And then you also said something else is very important to realtor conversion. Tell us what that is, and let's do that script.
Yeah, I think it's really important to have options/choices. Now, you don't want to overwhelm a customer, especially a first-time home buyer, with 20 different options, but I think it's really important to have 2 or maybe 3 options for a customer to choose from. And so I use Mortgage Coach regularly to be able to show a couple of different options on that purchase, right? So maybe we look at 20% down, but we also look at, say, 10% down. I just had a customer I was talking to earlier today, and they had an opportunity to be able to buy something. It was a little bit outside their price range, and it actually needed a little bit of work, but it would be a home they could live in for like 20 years instead of having to move on after 5 or 6 years for a home that didn't quite meet their needs. And so they had 20% down at the lower price point, but they wouldn't have had any money to do any renovations. They asked about a renovation loan. I thought, there's no way we're going to get that accepted in today's market. So I had that conversation with them, and I put on my total cost analysis. Hey, here's what it would look like with 20% down, and this was your goal. It's a little outside your range of what you had for cash. Maybe you could scrape it up and find it. But here's what it would look like if we did 10% down. That 10% down option added mortgage insurance, but only to the tune in their case, like under $100 a month, right? So it wasn't a bunch, but it kept like $60,000 in their pocket. So they really appreciated having that option to be able to look and say, hey, I could go this way or I could go this way. This way wasn't what I necessarily intended or thought I was going to take, but now they've got a really clear idea of what kind of a difference that would make for them in both cash to close and monthly payment. It was an easy choice. They knew that they could really up the value of their property by putting a little bit more money back into the property at post-close.
Hey, guys, there's brain science. You know, when you give a family options and they pick one, they're invested in it. It absolutely improves conversion. You just need to get trained on how to do it with a purchase, and every family can get options. Cody is proof of that. I just looked in the back end, and Cody, you and your team have created 8,108 total cost analysis, and you've created 154 in the last 30 days. So guys, one of America's most successful loan officers by all measures is making sure that whether it's a purchase, they're getting options, or whether it's a refi, they're getting options.
Yep.
Anything else you want to share on the scripting of that?
Yeah, a couple things. The key point of that option is I want to be the person that gives them a couple options and helps guide them to the right choice for them. The alternative is if I don't give them options and I just give them a rate and a quote, well, now they feel like they need an option. So if I just give them one option, they're going to go somewhere else to find another option, right? And that other option, it might look a little better than mine, maybe because it's a couple days later and the rate market shifted. Who knows, right? But what I want to do is I want to give them a couple options that I've given them that mean you can pick option A or you can pick option B, but either way, it's with me, right? It's not going somewhere else to find another option. Also on refinances, right? I mean, obviously rates have come up a little bit, but there's still a lot of meat on that bone out there. What I would say is it's really important also to give some options there with refinances. Our go-to is to look at if our clients had already a 30-year fix, we would give them a 30-year fix, say at par, one with maybe enough rebate to cover their closing costs. Now that rates are coming up, that would give us the flexibility to be able to possibly refinance again if we have another dip. And then my favorite is to be able to show them, hey, whichever of those two options I like the most, at least to start with, what if we took that option and just made the same payment we're used to, right? Because a lot of people have reservations about doing a refinance when they're 2 or 3 or 5 years into their loan because they don't want to start over, right? And so if we take that monthly savings and reapply it to their principal every month and just make the same payment, you can take a refinance that maybe didn't make a ton of sense, right? Maybe I could save $100 or $150 a month. And they're like, I don't want to do all the paperwork and spend the money. But when you show them that $150 a month applied back to their principal, now their new lower rate, and they can shave $60,000 off their loan over a window of 30 years. Well, and not to mention not 30 years, right? If they do that, maybe they pay it off in 25. So they don't actually go backwards in their loan. They actually go forwards, pay it off a couple years sooner, and save a big pile of money, right? So for me to be able to show a client the 30-year impact of what we would do today is really huge, right? It makes a marginal refinance end up to be a no-brainer.
So guys, option selling is the way to go. Cody, would you mind providing, after this interview, a copy of one of your purchase TCAs so we can see how you do options, and a copy of a refi so we can have that part of the Script-a-palooza package?
I'll send you the 2 I just built today for those 2 customers.
Okay, great. And then I know we're going a little long, but you are a real estate investor and you love helping families become real estate investors, and you help families build wealth with real estate. Bring that conversation into your clients.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's my absolute passion, right? I mean, I love doing mortgages. I love helping people attain home ownership, but there's nothing like changing somebody's wealth and like just their overall outlook on their future. I still remember a client of mine, Jeremy, not Jeremy Forsay, different Jeremy. We absolutely were going to lose his deal. He was buying from a builder. He sold a house and he had a big pile of cash to put down on a down payment. And there was a builder's lender that was involved and they had some special deal, right? There was some deal I couldn't touch. We were close, but I couldn't get there, right? And he said, hey man, like all things being equal, I got to chase the money. And I was like, I understand. And I just said to him, I said, look, I understand where you're at, but I would really like to investigate. What if we looked at this a little differently, right? And so instead of putting $600,000 down, why don't we put 20% down, right? Why don't we take that extra money, that extra $400,000, and go buy some rental properties, right? So his plan was to put a big chunk of money down, get a 15-year mortgage, and pay it off super fast, right? The Dave Ramsey style, right? Nothing wrong with that. Okay, works for a lot of people. But this guy was a really good saver. He had a really good income, and he was willing to take some risks. So I told him, I said, why don't we look at putting 20% down, take that other money and invest in some other real estate. And so what ended up happening there was he ended up working with us where I don't think we were going to get him to start with. He put 20% down and we helped him buy 3 more rental properties that actually equated to being more than his new 30-year fixed rate mortgage on his house. So not only did he not have this big $3,000 or $4,000 mortgage payment on a relatively small amount of mortgage, but he had a smaller payment, more flexibility, and then he ended up buying a fourplex, and a triplex. So he ended up having 11 other people pay these 4 different mortgages for him, and he didn't have to pay anything at all. And so the flexibility there is if one of those tenants didn't pay, he'd still be okay, right? His mortgage payment would still be far less than what he had before. And now the other double, triple win is instead of having one $700,000 house, he's got one $700,000 house, a $400,000 triplex, a $500,000 fourplex, and a $550,000 fourplex, right? So when the rising tide lifts all the boats, and in our market area, sometimes appreciation can be 7, 8, 10%. You know, if you had a $700,000 house that went up 10%, 70 grand, that's nice. But he shifted to having almost $2 million worth of real estate. So a $2 million real estate portfolio that goes up 10% is $200,000 in increased equity just for kind of shifting the way you think about that. The triple whammy win was my real estate agent wanted to kiss me on the mouth because I just gave her 3 more transactions out of 1, right? That builder was going to pay her 1.5%, right? Not great for a real estate agent. They don't like the discounted commissions, just like anybody. Instead, she was able to get the 1.5 on his primary residence, but also sell him another $1.4 million worth of real estate at full boat, 3%.
So, and Cody, and I know you, I don't think we covered this in incredible detail in the last interview that we did, but I mean, this is not a one-time story. I mean, this is something you do a lot. You are one of the top loan officers in America at helping families build wealth with real estate through investment real estate, and you're a real estate investor yourself. So would you be willing to, I'm not going to commit to a time, but sometime in the next couple months, when we do our next interview, just focus on how to help families with Mortgage Coach buy homes and how to help families become investors. Is that something you would do more longer conversation?
Absolutely. Yeah, gladly. That's my number one passion around real estate and mortgage lending is, and investing too, is helping families change their absolute worth, their net worth by investing in real estate. And it doesn't even have to be with different money, right? That guy was going to use that money to do what he was going to do anyways, right? It didn't take extra commitment from him. It just took shifting and where it was going to go.
So let's do this. We have gone over time, but this is really important. And I think to be a mortgage coach, to be a modern mortgage professional, you need to do more than do loans. You need to go beyond the transaction. And this is beyond the transaction, where you're helping families build generational wealth with real estate. So also, if you do have any TCAs, well, not if, you do have TCAs.
Roughly 8,000 of them, it sounds like.
Yeah, right, 8,000. I would love to see one that covers the investment. You know, how you showed real estate as an investment opportunity with a TCA. So we got a refi, we got a purchase, and then we have real estate investment opportunity from Cody Touche. You cool with that, brother?
Absolutely.
All right, man. So Cody, thank you so much for being so transparent, for sharing your best ideas and scripts with the Mortgage Coach community. Any final thoughts, brother?
Oh man, thanks for having me. And I super appreciate your leadership in the space. Nobody does it better. I really appreciate you bringing everybody together and sharing all this information out. Because I mean, I wouldn't be where I'm at today if people didn't pour into me when I was getting going 20 years ago.
Love it, man. Take care, brother.
Thank you. Take care.
All right, so one more great example of a loan officer who's doing something different in today's market. How many of you actually own investment real estate? I'll tell you that when I first got in the mortgage business a little over 20 years ago, guess what? I owned an investment property. I teamed up with a property manager who was interested in helping his investors do 1031 exchanges and buy more property. And guess who got those loans? Me. In fact, it's still something that I think you can jump in on, right? Become an expert in helping investors. But it helps if you actually own property. So for me, I ended up owning multiple properties over the years. And so even real estate agents who had their favorite loan officer, could have been their best friend, whoever it was, referred me to all their investor clients because they knew I actually walked the walk. So I'd encourage you, if you have an opportunity to become an investor, if you are an investor, go after that market. Great job, Cody. I love, love, love your strategy.
So Cody killed it, guys. And I'm so impressed with Cody in so many different ways in terms of how he manages his team. He's done 8,120 TCAs. He's done 152 in the last 30 days. So his team walks their talks, great role model. Todd, any last words before we bring on Dan Keller? And then we're going to close it out with Shayla Gifford, everybody.
You know, I know we got some cleanup batters. You know, it's funny. I was just, Brittany had mentioned that she's been in the business for a year and how great this has been. And I just love seeing her comments. You know, I just asked her what her takeaways were, and she talked about why should I work with you and just developing confidence. She signed up for Win by Noon. So thanks, Brittany. I appreciate it. Let us know how we can get you launched. And then she talked about how she's going to continue to create TCA. She's got a client that's got a tight transaction right now and how she's going to use the tool. So remember, this community is all about you. We're super excited that you guys are all here. If you are people are asking Dave if it's being recorded, absolutely, you'll be able to get the recording. It's going to take a while since it's so long to get it up into the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel, but feel free to jump in there. It's also on the Mortgage Coach Productivity Mastermind Live, Facebook Live page.
So guys, Script-a-palooza 2021 has been amazing, and it would not be a Script-a-palooza event without Mr. Dan Keller. He is so active in the mortgage coach community, he probably doesn't need much of an introduction. But for anyone who doesn't know Dan, or you're brand new to the business, coming to you live out of Seattle, Washington, Dan and his team did 413 loans. That means they served 413 families for $187 million in production. Welcome to the stage, Dan Keller.
Thanks for having me, Dave. It's always fun to be here with you guys.
I told everybody that you get to pick the script that you're passionate about or that you think is really helpful for folks. And I loved it, man. I learned a lot by just what scripts people wanted to do. And Dan gave two ideas. And at first it looked like one of them was really going to outpull, and we're like, oh, okay, this is the one. And then before you know it, right, Dan, like, it's like, oh my God, people want both, right?
They're relevant. They're both really relevant. When you ask me about a script, I don't know if I have just scripts off to the side, just to present to you guys, to present to the community. So what I wanted to do is just share what's relevant, what I'm getting thrown at me right now, and really how I'm hitting the ball back at our clients and with our realtors. So I hope this really helps.
Well, let's try to get them both in. And I mean, let's start with, hey, my dad said the market is a bubble and it's going to pop in a couple of years. I think I'm going to wait. Or however you think they say it. Let's start with that one, man. How would you respond to that?
Yeah, so I want to start with this because I think it's important that everyone understands how I'm going to frame this. I want these types of objections. I want these questions. I'm expecting them. So if you go to my website, if you go to the email that I send to the borrower, the video that I send out to the borrowers, the answer's already there. The data, the proof is already there. So for me, this question is a softball. You've lobbed it to me, and I'm loading up to crush it out of the park. So I'm up here in Seattle, like Dave mentioned. This is a common question. In sales, the last thing you want to do is make someone, especially someone that they're related to, sound inferior or look inferior unless they are. I have to assume, because my dad, that they have the utmost respect for their dad. So I'm going to start off by agreeing. And so, hey, Dave, I'm going to have to agree with your father. 100%. That is a concern. Let me ask you real quick, Dave. Is your father in the market right now?
No.
Okay. So he most likely purchased a few years ago or years ago. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah.
12 years ago, 20 years ago. So the market is and can be kind of a scary thing right now unless you're in it. So one of the things I want to tell you right now, Dave, I'm in this market. It's 2021. This may be crazy to you. Guess what? This market has been this way since 2017. So I'm going on 4 to 5 years of multiple offers in Seattle, escalation clauses, home appreciation going up. The thing that's different right now is we have lower interest rates than we've seen since 2017. So one, I agree with your father. Number two, what I'd like to talk with you about are your goals. So Dave, how long do you see yourself in this house that you're interested in purchasing?
You know, we might want to do a move-up house. This is like a 3 to 5 year house, and then hopefully we'll be positioned, have enough equity, and ready for the next one.
Okay, so that's so important because the fears that your father is talking about, if you do not plan to stay in the house for 3 to 5 years, those are certain fears. And those are fears that if the housing market were in a bubble, if the housing market were to correct, which I'm in touch with a lot of economists up here in Seattle and nationwide, they don't really see that happening, but let's just play devil's advocate. Let's say it does. If the market were to correct or drop and you needed to get out of the market in the next 1 to 3 years, your father is 100% correct. 100% correct. Now, what I've done, because you're not alone, Dave. This is the number one question that I get asked from not only first-time home buyers, but move-up buyers right now. Is now a good time to buy? I feel like we're in a bubble. And so what I've done is, instead of me just answering that with my own opinion, I went to the data. So what I've done, Dave, is let's assume, do you recall, what do you think would have been the worst possible time in the history of housing to purchase a house?
2007.
There you go, 2007, 2008. So let's assume, Dave, that you bought right before the market just fell flat on its face, and you purchased a house in 2008. If you stayed in that house for a minimum of 5 years, and you put down the minimum money down, 3.5% to 5%, you would have come out of that period after 5 years with a 277% return on your investment. That's your down payment and closing cost investment. And what's crazy about that is most of my clients are shocked when they see this. So what I've done is I've actually put that data in a slide in the Mortgage Concierge packet that I've sent you. Did you have a chance to look at that yet?
I have not seen that yet.
Okay, it's a one-page slide. It's super simple, but Dave, what it talks about is it talks about really 3 main things. When you purchase a house, every single month when you make your monthly mortgage payment, it pays down what you owe the lender. That's called a forced savings account, in my opinion. The next thing that happens when you purchase a house is every year, the IRS comes to you and says, hey, we want to give you a refund based off of the mortgage interest and the property taxes that you've paid. On a $500,000 house, that's approximately $7,000 or $8,000 that comes back to you in the form of a refund each year. And then the third thing is appreciation. Now, if you were to purchase in the worst market ever, the home values are going to go down before they go up. But over that 5-year period, all 3 of those factors considered, you would have received a 277% return on your down payment and closing cost investment. So I think you can agree with me, but let me ask you this. We're not in 2007 or 2008, are we?
I don't think so. Sure hope not.
Yeah, we have real money in the marketplace right now. We have more cash than I've ever seen in the marketplace. So what I would ask you to look at is the data. And what I would ask you to consider, which I think you just answered, if you can see yourself in this house for the next 3 to 5 years, I would go back and show this slide with your father, and I'd have a conversation around these numbers and your goals, because the last thing I would like to see, and I'm going to show you information around this, Dave, the last thing that I would like you to see is you sit on the sidelines and you wait this out, and then you look back. Like I've had a few clients come and reach out to me and say, you know what, we waited 2 years and that house that we wanted to buy for $650,000 is now $800,000. So I'd like to get you more information on this, and then we can go from there.
So Dan, that was awesome. I'm going to try to get another script out of you. Before I do, I can already tell people are going to want to see that slide. So if you could re-forward that over to me, and we'll make that available. Also, I'd love, you probably have a TCA that's 2007 versus today. I think maybe you've shared that with me in the past, but if you could forward that to me, that'd be great, guys. And we're going to put links down below to all this, especially when you know that the person that's giving the advice is trusted. Always, it's just, let's look at the data. Let's show options. And in this particular case, guys, the options is 2007, 5 years. You know, I think actually what you said, it's 2007 versus 2012. What did things look like? So we'll net that out for everybody. Anything else you want to add before we move on to the next script, Dan?
Yeah, and it's so important that this conversation continues. It's a conversation that we have with all of our clients. So it doesn't just end at that and then they say, oh, okay, cool, I'm going to apply. They start asking questions. And so then what I'll do, you guys, is I'll send them another slide. It's a separate slide outside of my mortgage concierge packet where I do have 2007 right here. What caused the market in 07 right here. And then the 2020, 2021 markets right here and the differences between the two. And I think my biggest point that I want to make with a client, and I tell them this is kind of my close. Listen, whether you buy right now or not, whether you use me or not, I want to make sure you're armed with the right information to make the best decision for you, because the last thing that I want to see or hear is that you sit out of, or you sit on the sidelines and don't get into the markets because you had fear. My number one job with the information, the wisdom, and the experience that I have is to help get you that information, arm you with that information so that you make a great financial decision.
Yeah. And then guys, this is also, depending on the client and the circumstance, a good opportunity to do a cost of waiting. Like, hey, let's put in today's market. Option 2 is, what do you think is going to happen to interest rates? Oh, you think they're going to go up? What do you think is going to happen to values? Oh, they're going to go up. And then show what that looks like from a cost of waiting perspective. And you can even say, hey, best case and worst case. Yeah. And you can model that out for folks depending on the client. So Dan, let's get one more script out of you before we wrap this up. Someone who has a bank that they're loyal to, let's just say, hey, I work with big bank or a credit union that they're loyal to. And I think in the scenario that we wrote up, they were referred by a realtor and they're going, hey, I got this. Why you? Did I get that right?
Correct. Yeah. Referred by the realtor, giving a little pushback to the realtor because, you know, they bank at US Bank, whatever, one of the big four or a local credit union. Not sure if I want to listen to my realtor or not. So I'm going to vet you. I want to see how you're different.
Let's do it. How are you different?
Awesome. So Dave, it's a concern I think that everyone has. Back in the 80s and the 90s, old school, the way that our parents and grandparents borrowed money is they went to their local bank where they held their money. I can tell you that a lot of things have changed since then, primarily since the markets turned and started to heat up. These banks are great, but how these banks manage the mortgage process and the advice that they give you, the advice that you need, sometimes is missing. And I'm not going to say it's always missing. You may have a great relationship, you know, at your bank with a particular loan officer. And if that's the case, I would encourage you to not only sit down and talk with them, but come in and sit down and talk with me. And I would have you weigh both the advice, the process, and the rates, and weigh those evenly, evaluate those evenly. But one of the things that I would love to talk with you about real quick and really answer your question, what is the big difference? Dave, I have to assume you've flown on an airplane before, yeah?
Absolutely.
Okay. Have you ever flown first class?
I have, yeah.
Okay. So the easiest way I can explain the difference, I like to use analogies. I come from, prior to mortgage, I was a college baseball coach. And so I had to recruit. I had to go out into parents' households and meet the parents and talk with them. And oftentimes the college across the town or the college across the state was recruiting the same athlete. And when they would ask, what is the difference between you and the University of Washington? I would never talk ill. I learned early on, don't ever talk ill about your competition. It shows weakness. That's the last thing I want you to see or hear from me. So I don't want anything that I'm going to say to come across as me talking negative about your lending or your bank or your lending relationship. But I want to talk about first class. If you've flown first class before, you understand that there's a difference between flying first class and coach. So let's say all things considered right now, Dave, you're flying coach, and I want to offer you a first class upgrade. Would you accept that?
Absolutely.
Okay. The great thing about first class, Dave, and I think since you've flown, you'll understand, first class is crystal clear on their expectations, right? What you can expect from riding in first class. Yes?
Absolutely.
Okay. We're going to serve you drinks. We're going to serve you whatever you want. We're going to give you a meal once we get up into the sky. We're going to allow you to board early and exit early. The other thing that they do in first class really well is they communicate. They're always there for you. Communication is key. And with communication and expectations, it makes the process, it makes the experience more enjoyable. And so relative to the mortgage process, I like to equate it to flying first class. So if rates and fees, for example, are even across the board, we're going to give you a free first class upgrade. And that's the big difference. You've got myself. So imagine I'm the captain of the airplane and I come out to greet you. I'm running the show here. So you're talking to the guy in charge. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tee up the process. You're also going to get advice from me. I own multiple homes. I've been in the mortgage industry for 13 plus years. I'm looked at as one of the top 1% in the whole entire industry. So you're going to get great financial advice. You're going to get great wisdom from me. The other thing is I have an incredible team. So that team is really going to take great care of you throughout the process. So as far as expectations, as far as communication, we set proper expectations up front. And you'll see that in our mortgage concierge packet. Communication, you have my cell phone. You have my team's email and phone number. We're going to communicate with you throughout the way. Along the way, if anything were to come up, we're here to answer any questions. And lastly, we're in a very, very competitive market. All right. Very competitive market. So who you work with matters a lot. Being local in the marketplace, having a big reputation in the marketplace will help give you the competitive advantage. And so those are some of the things that really set us apart. If you go into battle and you've got 3 or 4 other offers or 5 or 6 other offers, you're going to need that edge, that advantage to stand out. And that's one of the things on top of the first class experience that we bring to the table. Does that help answer your question?
It does. So I have a feeling that we'll have almost like a meme following Dan Keller's first class versus coach script. I can see this taken off. Guys, the 3 bullet points I wrote that were part of the magic is he created a frame, first class versus coach. For anyone who's been through Renee and Rodriguez Amplify, you know what a frame is. He put a frame around it. And then communication, advice, team, and we're local. And so the only thing that I would push everybody in the mortgage coach community, and I know Dan does this because I've interviewed him countless times, is to put a little more frame around the advice. And I know he does that. It's in his home concierge. He's got a mortgage coach TCA. And depending on who the client is, he might put more color around communication. If, he's tailoring it. Like, where is this client at? And what do I think is going to most resonate with them? I'm going to tailor call it the 4 legs to the table. Dan, did I get it right? Pillars to the Dan Keller way that you script this?
I would say so. Yeah. I mean, in the small talk, we didn't have a chance to actually role play back and forth, but in the small talk portion of the phone call, the initial phone call, I would have asked you, Dave, hey, so how do you know Kyle Whistle, your real estate agent?
You would have done the triangle for trust also.
Yeah. How do you know them? And hey, Dave, what did they say about me? When they introduced it, hey, I need to call Dan, what did they say about me? Well, they said, you were quick, you're one of the best, you're a great communicator. Great. Hey, Dave, is communication important to you? Well, not really, Dan. It really comes down to rate and fees. Okay. So rate and fees are so important to you. So if I quoted you something, or if a bank quoted you something, and then you got to closing and that was different because the market moved, that would be a big deal, wouldn't it? Oh yeah. So Dave, that ties back into communication, because if the market's turning and we need to lock you in, communication's really important, isn't it? So it's understanding the sales process, you guys, is so important. What the customer is saying when it's rate and fees, it's not necessarily rate and fees. It's important, but understanding how you get there is important on our end to relay how they're actually going to get the best rate and fee.
Right on, Dan. Well, hey, Dan, we are over time. 2 requests. One, if we can get that slide. If we can get the 2007 versus 2012 TCA. I would also love an example of a typical total cost analysis that's purchase where you were competing with a bank.
Yep.
I don't know if that'd be any difference. It might probably be just down payment options. And then remember, guys, I'm going to add, it's not just 4 legs, it's 5. It's frame it. It's triangle for trust, communication, advice, team, local. That was how Dan nailed that. Dan Keller, any final thoughts for the audience as we wrap this up?
No, I mean, invest in yourself, invest in how to communicate. That's one of the best investments I've made, is not only this community, but Renee Rodriguez, and learning really how to communicate with your clients so that they can see really how you can benefit them.
Love it, guys. So we'll put a link down below to learn more about Amplify by Renee if you want an introduction.
Mind blown. Come on, first class. Who wants a free upgrade from Coach? You're killing me, Dan. That was so awesome. I've seen Dan and talked to Dan so many times, and I've never heard that analogy. That was just amazing. I love it.
Yeah, no, Dan is awesome. Guys, everybody has been amazing. We've got Shayla Gifford running the anchor in just a few minutes from now. I do want to also shine a light on what Mortgage Coach is doing on Clubhouse. Shayla has volunteered to be one of our 10 Mortgage Coach MCs, but on Clubhouse every single day of the week at 8:30 a.m., we've got a Mortgage Coach Grandmaster that is moderating a conversation that lasts no more than an hour. And then we're doing that again at 3 o'clock. So we have a club. If you are active on the social media platform Clubhouse, it is audio only, and you do need to have an iPhone. But if you are on that social media platform, every day at 8:30, we're doing a Mortgage Coach huddle, and Shayla is helping us moderate that some of the days. She's not there every day, but she kicked off this Mondays. So Todd, we've got one more speaker, so we will have some closing thoughts, but anything else you want to shine a light on, or you want to call out before we bring Shayla on stage?
I just know we've had a dozen amazing Mortgage Coach, loan officers, Win by Noon folks on this call. And, this call's about you, right? It's what are you going to do with it? And, you now have this opportunity to go re-listen to it, right? The recording will be available on the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel or in the Mortgage Coach Productivity Mastermind group on Facebook. And you just have to execute, right? I mean, you just heard Dan say it, right? Invest in yourself, right? This is an opportunity. You're so busy, I know it, but you just need to schedule some on time, right? Schedule that little bit of time where you can actually work proactively on these things. And I think you'll get there. The bottom line is this, right? You've got the roadmap. It's been given to you today. And now it's your time to jump on it and execute. The other thing I'll throw out there is we did highlight a few different opportunities throughout this call them mini sales pitches, right? One is getting Mortgage Coach. Go through the scroll on Zoom or in Facebook or in YouTube. You'll see all the links to this. Mortgage Coach, Win by Noon, a free trial through the end of March. You can get a 365 pass to the Modern Mortgage Summit. You can get a pass for the upcoming live event with your real estate agents, bringing to the Modern Real Estate Summit. Just all great opportunities, and just really appreciate you guys being here. Shayla's going to close it out. Dave and I will tie a bow on it at the end, so don't jump right off. We'll have a few other things to throw out there with you guys, but let's hear what Shayla has to say.
Script-a-palooza is going amazing, and it's about to get even better with Shayla Gifford. Shayla Gifford is an amazing mortgage professional. I could go on about her personal production team that does over 700 loans last year, and for the past 4 months has done over 75 transactions. But I think what's more important about Shayla is how much she helps other people. I think she's got about 40 loan officers in her region, and 21 of them did over $50 million last year. So she's not only a great producer, a great leader, she's a great developer of other people. Shayla Gifford, welcome to Script-a-palooza.
Thank you, Dave. I love doing this.
Yeah, well, hey, I love all the value you are bringing to the Mortgage Coach community. The fact that I've interviewed you a couple times the past few years, the fact that you're actually helping us with our Clubhouse project, taking Mortgage Coach on Clubhouse. Thank you for that, Shayla.
You're welcome. Super fun.
Right on. So let's do a couple scripts. I know one script that I really want to hear you do, and I want to hear you do it right because I think it's so important. But let's start with how you train realtors to refer business to you and your team. Like, what does that conversation sound like, and how do you expect to be referred by realtors?
Okay, so when you're meeting with a realtor and you're sitting over coffee or you're in an office having a business meeting, I would start out by asking, what is your referral process now? When you get a client, when do you ask them if they have a lender? what do you say, and how do you refer? And the thing that often comes up is, oh, well, I refer 3 cards. I have 3 cards that I hand out, or I have 3 names that I hand out, or whatever the case is. I'll probably go deeper and go, okay, well, cool. Who are you referring? Just because I really want to know who's my competition and why did they pick the people that they did. But one thing that I will say is, you know, can I challenge that way of business? Do you mind if I give you some feedback on that? And usually after I built Rapport for a long time, they're open to professional feedback or open to advice. And I'll say, here's the deal. The number one thing that matters to a buyer is that they can trust us, that there's this trustworthiness built between us and the buyer. So let me ask you, if you moved into town and you asked for a referral to a dentist, to somebody you met or a good friend, and they said, yeah, here's 3 names of dentists. Do you really feel like warm and fuzzy that you can trust them, or that you feel trust in the dentist that they referred? Probably not. I'm not super excited to like open my mouth and have a root canal from just one of 3. Same as if I came into your town and said, it's my 20th wedding anniversary. What's a good restaurant? And you said, you could go to here, 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 here. It just doesn't feel customized. It doesn't feel like you really care about me. The difference in saying, hey, I've got a dentist over here. I swear he is like Mr. Rogers. He has got just the perfect touch. My mouth is never hurt. I'm totally afraid of dentists, but I love my dentist. I'm always so happy to go in there. I will call their office because I know they're busy and tell them that you're a friend of mine, and I think they'll be able to get you in. Here's their number. I'll text it to you and I'll call them right now. What a difference in how special I feel that you referred strongly to that dentist or strongly to that restaurant. It means that you took time and that you cared about me. So listen, I know that compliantly we're supposed to hand out multiple names. However, for the client's best interest in not being confused and not getting in some sort of a war with multiple professionals and building trust in you, you really need to strongly refer one person at the beginning when you're getting pre-approved and when you're being advised on a mortgage. If they want to get multiple people's information to rate shop when they've gotten under contract, fine, that's a whole different conversation. But referring strongly really helps me build rapport with that client and take our meeting to a whole nother level. When a client calls me and says, hey, so-and-so referred you, she gave me a couple names and you're the first person to pick up, I'm going, okay, that's where we stand, right? And I'm gonna have to really work hard to warm them up and build trust because I wasn't referred to strongly. I gotta spend a lot of my meeting doing that rather than if they said, oh my gosh, Claire told me I had to call you. You're the best in town. You've taken great care of our clients. You've got an incredible reputation. I hope you'll be able to work with me. That meeting is going to go differently. And my opportunity to sell you and to bond the 3 of us so that we can successfully proceed together is so much different. So I will take the time to go through that whole story with somebody. I really want it to sink in for them of what does it feel like to do what they're doing, because I want to help them, whether they refer me or not. I want to leave them better than before they met. The other thing I always tell them is, look, I don't care if I'm one of your 3, I love it. But choose me for the client that fits me, that I would do well for you. If you have 3 different referral partners and you don't think I'm a match, refer somebody else, but refer them strongly, because that's going to help you really form a bond with the client. And right now, when we're losing out on offers left and right, after the 3rd offer that they get, that they lose out on, they're probably going to start looking at the realtor and going, I think you suck. And if you've got a really strong lender partner that's having your back and that's saying, oh no, Dave is working so hard for you. Oh my gosh, we've called the listing agent, you've written a letter, you're doing all the right things. Dave is hustling. We got to hang in there. We've probably got to do this 7 times. Like if there was that trust built and that partnership, you're going to be so much more successful as a realtor.
So that was such a powerful script. I remember it's been about a year since I did the Mortgage Coach conversion playbook, but we came up with, what are the 9 best practices that impact conversion the most? And speed to lead was there, but source of lead and how the lead was referred was absolutely one of the most important factors in like 8 different factors. And then of course, a total cost analysis. Like what did we talked to the client, we found out what their hopes, their dreams, their goals are, and then we put that together. So guys, that was a brilliant script. That's an analogy I will never forget. And I love the dentist, because if someone gave me 3 dentists, that is completely worthless. It's not something you go and try. You got one chance to get that dentist referral right. So I love that analogy. So Shayla, I want to try to get another script out of you. We got a few more minutes. Before I do that, I just want to get a little Mortgage Coach why and how you think Mortgage Coach adds value to the overall conversion.
Well, it's simple. Once we're educated, we are inspired and we know how to take action. When we don't have clarity, it's really hard to make decisions, and many people are indecisive. And so what our job is as mortgage professionals is to bring that clarity, to connect the emotions and the goals and the money and the finances and put it all together. And to give people a long-term picture is really motivating. So I just can't think of a better thing than doing this with our clients. It's going to create more referrals. It's going to create more success. It's going to cut down time and stress for that real estate agent. That's our biggest value. We have time, stress, or money that we can impact that real estate agent. So if we do a really good pre-approval meeting and we educate that client, that realtor is going to have a lot less stress and spend a lot more time because that client has clarity and they know what they're doing.
Yeah, and clarity has never been more important, guys, especially in a low inventory market. There are a lot of properties that are not appraising at the purchase price, and there's that appraisal gap. We've got a script coming up with Amber Kovark. She's going to speak in detail her scripting. When a family's appraisal doesn't come in, how does she bring clarity to that family? How does she bring solution to that family? And so stay tuned. That's coming up soon. So one more script I'd love to get from you is Tuesday updates. So I know you're a master at that. At least I've heard that from others. What does it sound like to give Tuesday updates to your real estate agents?
So before you're going to make any call or do any meeting, you need to think of the ideal outcome. And most of the time, the ideal outcome is not just one thing, like they chose me to be their lender. Like I got them pre-approved in the meeting. It's many things. I got a referral. I gave a referral. I got a wow from them, whatever the case might be. So think about that before a Tuesday update call. You can either just pick up the phone and give an update and hang up, or you can create a whole host of opportunities from the same exact amount of time and phone call. So when you get a transaction, the first thing you do is call the listing agent. Remember that they don't have a sales manager, office meetings, branch meetings, and all the things that we do in the mortgage industry with the structure that they are in. So most of the times they get an offer accepted as a listing agent and no one's there to praise them and cheer them on. So the first thing is setting up the Tuesday update by calling the listing agent and congratulating them on getting their listing under contract. Asking them how long did they have the house marketed, or how long did it take them to get the listing. Looking at photos online and saying, wow, this house is gorgeous. I'm just so excited for you. You must be jumping up and down. This is amazing. So I didn't script that, but those are the kind of the components to it. And then basically with the listing agent, setting the expectation, asking them a lot of questions. Hey, is your seller in town the whole time? Is this going to be a mail out? Do we have any powers of attorney or any probate or anything like that that we need to know about? Is the house vacant? Is it occupied? Are the utilities on? This just really shows like, man, you mean business and you really care about what they do for a living and what impacts their life. Then I say, look, the way I work is I'm going to give you a Tuesday update every single week. We reach out on Tuesday to let you know exactly where we stand on the loan so that we can close on time and smooth and be in communication. And then you shut up and pause. And that's when generally they'll go, wow, that's awesome. Thank you. Nobody does that. It's like, what? Yeah, as a listing agent, I never know what's going on with a loan. Okay, well, that's how I work every time. So we'll be reaching out. Now, on Tuesday, do you want a phone call? Do you want a text, or you want an email? And is it to you or is it to your assistant? And they'll let you know how they want to be contacted with. Guys, this is the time you have the most captive, where they want to hear from you because they've got to report back to their seller. That when they say, wow, I never hear from this or whatever, and then just say, well, look, this is how I do business. I'm sure you have a lot of lenders buying for your business, or you've got a really incredible lender partner already. But if I do my job, I update you every Tuesday and I close on time, can I earn the right to buy you a cup of coffee and meet you? And they always say yes, because it's at the beginning of the deal and you're asking for some far out future thing. So most people never ask. Second, if they ask, they never follow up and take the coffee appointment. So the Tuesday updates, Dave, are actually pretty simple. It's, hey, Dave, Shayla Gifford at Gill Mortgage. I'm just calling you for your Tuesday update. You've got to brand it every single time. It shows that you're keeping those small promises. I just want to let you know, we're still on track to close on March 21st. Everything is going great on our end. We do need the prelim from the title company, and we are still waiting on the appraisal. But as you know, the appraisal's scheduled, and that's as much as we know right now. I will give you any other updates between now and Tuesday if they cause any issues or we have any alarming things, but otherwise I'll call you next Tuesday. Is there anything else I can do to be helping you with any other sellers or anything that you got going on in business? Again, that's like the perfect outcome. I didn't say, do you have any leads for me? You could ask that straight up if you want to, but I'm not going to just give an update and hang up. Every time I'm going to ask for something, ask if there's anything I can do to be serving them. By the way, have you ever heard of our bridge loan that we just rolled out? I'm not going to take your time. I'm going to just pop you an email. But if you have sellers that won't get off the fence, that won't get their house listed, this could probably help you. I'll send it to you. There's always these opportunities throughout the transaction to build your reputation and to get more deals.
So Shayla, this has been amazing. I'm a little greedy because within that Tuesday update, not only did you do an awesome Tuesday update, but you showed everybody how to get a meeting with a realtor. So we are running out of time, but I have to hear in a minute or less, how does Shayla Gifford get meetings with realtors? So just give us a quick ring, 1 minute, how you would ask for a meeting with an agent.
Ring.
Dave Savage here.
Dave Savage, this is Shayla Gifford at Gill Mortgage. How are you?
I am doing awesome, Shayla Gifford.
Good, I'm sure you are. I pay attention to your career closely and you're kicking ass. You're staying busy? Are you going crazy with this inventory?
Oh my God, I just wish I had more listings.
Yes, please. Can you get after it? Dave, I'm calling you because we did an awesome transaction together 3 months ago. And I don't know why I didn't ask you at the time, because I absolutely love how professional you are. I love how on it and just honest, transparent, straight up, direct you are. I just love the way you do business. And I know you've got an amazing lender partner, I'm sure, that always closes on time and makes you look amazing. But I want to be your backup. And so I just want to see if you'd be willing to have a cup of coffee with me and see if we can make some money together in the future.
So a couple things I got to call out. She leaned in, the energy elevated. She flattered me in authentic, cool ways. I thought that was so powerful. So Shayla, I'm gonna give you the last thought, but something I thought was really important that you did in the first one, where you talked about, hey, who are the 3 people? And you asked them like, why? And I'll never forget, I had about 5 minutes with Larry King a couple years ago. And I asked Larry King, I go, Larry, what are the best types of questions? And he just looks at me and he's like, the question after the question. And it just reminded me, guys, well, this is Script-a-palooza and you're getting scripts. It's the script after the script. It's the question after the question where all the gold is at. So I thought that was brilliant, super strategic. Love your energy. Any closing thoughts for everybody?
Be bold. People love helping other people. And I think sometimes if you're active on social media, you start getting some level of success, people start going, oh, they're fine. They're taken care of. They're busy. I'm sure they don't need the business. you've got to, no matter what, always say, I want the business. Can I have the opportunity? Thank you for the opportunity. I'm looking to grow my business. Is there anything I can do to earn more business? People love that because they then get to bestow a gift on you. And we all love to be givers. And if you're just not asking and being bold, you're cheating them out of the opportunity to help you. And if they like you, they want to help you.
Love that. So Shayla Gifford, thank you for your value. Thank you for your transparency. Todd, who do we have next?
Next, it's just me and you, Dave, closing it up. 13 amazing speakers, 3 hours and 38 minutes with all of you. You guys rock. And I agree with Shayla, Dave, you kick ass.
That was so fun. You kick ass too, brother. I have had a blast now. I think it's going on 5 years where we've been doing this Friday mastermind at 9 o'clock. I don't know whose idea Script-a-palooza was between the two of us. I think we literally came up with it together. But guys, every Friday at 9 o'clock, Todd and I are doing a mastermind on the Mortgage Coach channel. And I hope it's obvious to everyone that we care about this mortgage business. We care about every loan officer in this business, regardless of what channel, regardless of who they work for. I personally believe that the best loan officers give the family a total cost analysis. I don't just believe it, I know it. So I am going to ask for the business. The best way I can serve you is join the Mortgage Coach team and actually give a total cost analysis. And I know the other best way I can serve you is Win by Noon. Join the Win by Noon team, winbynoon.com. Todd, any questions come in or anything you want to make sure we say as we go into wrap up?
Yeah, someone's asking how they jump in on those calls. Join the Mortgage Coach Productivity Mastermind community on Facebook. Love to also have you over in the Win by Noon user mastermind group. If you're part of the Mortgage Coach community, you're part of my community, whether you use Win by Noon or not. It's not just about buying the product. It's about bringing out this philosophy. It's about helping people be more productive, not just you, loan officer, but you helping your real estate agents, your insurance agents, anyone in sales be more powerful. And I really agree with you, Dave. I mean, people always ask, Todd, well, why do you do that? Because, you're not the mortgage coach guy. And it's because I believe in the product. I believe in you. And every time I hang around with you and all these speakers that we have, it sharpens me. I become better. It drives me to be the best I can be, which is really what we want for all of you. We want all of you to think about, well, what can I do today to make sure I'm just a little bit better than yesterday? And the bottom line is, we heard it, be bold, be authentic, be yourself. And I don't know any other way to wrap this up, Dave. I think it was just a great 3.5 hours plus of content.
Yeah, no, it really was. Someone from the Bill Gaylord team had shared a link because we did have a computer, video crash at the end. So there is a link to get those. We will also put those in the Facebook group. And then here's the closing thought. If there was a favorite script that you got, we're going to be creating some micro content around this. So if there are things that you say, you know what, I want 3 minutes of this, I want 5 minutes of that, I loved X script, let us know. Let us know if you're watching this in our Facebook group. Let us know in comments down below. And on behalf of everybody at Mortgage Coach, who's one of the sponsors of this, we just appreciate so much of your time and energy. We know we fire hosed you. We know we went over 3.5 hours, but we just felt like every person that we had on this and every script was pure gold. So let's fire hose you. Let you sift through the gold for you. Todd, final thoughts, and then we are closing this thing out.
I'm just going to reiterate what you just said. On behalf of myself and the Win by Noon team, I'm grateful for you, Dave. I'm grateful for you, Robert, for running behind the scenes, and I'm grateful for the speakers. But most importantly, we're grateful for you. Those of you who are in our community, those of you who watch this video all to the end or are rewatching it for the second or third time, whether it's live or on YouTube, we're grateful for you. I appreciate you guys for engaging and being part of this, because we wouldn't go for 3.5 hours if you guys weren't all here, still here watching us.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. We have over 300 people, and we're talking 3 hours and 40 minutes. Robert Sierra, who is one of the leaders of our support team, helps run the Friday Mastermind, the Tuesday call, and this. Robert, thank you, brother. I know we went a little over, but appreciate you, my friend. This is a wrap, guys. Give it a like wherever you're watching it on social media if you got value from this, and share it with your mortgage friends so that we can get as much impact to the industry as possible from all these amazing mortgage professionals. Take care, everybody.
See you guys next time.